Within the prestigious halls of the Superpower Academy, our story's protagonist, Ning Feng, was lost in a digital battlefield, completely absorbed in his game. And in this virtual world, he considered himself an unrivaled master. But his conquest was brutally interrupted by a sharp slap across his face. A harsh punishment for squandering his potential like this. The hand belonged to his childhood friend, the brilliant Wang Yu. She refused to watch him throw his future away, especially with the critical awakening exam looming on the horizon. Yet, Ning Feng argued that dominating games required as much dedication as studying. Besides, what did it matter? He held no illusions of awakening anything beyond a pathetic 1-star, or maybe a 2-star profession now that he was already 18. He gazed in admiration at his friend, Wang Yu, who had awakened a legendary 5-star profession at the prime age of 16. He then jested about why he'd ever need to struggle for a living, when he could simply depend on her future success, as if the proud Wang Yu would ever permit her closest friend to become a worthless leech. Their familiar squabble drew the attention of onlookers, who wondered why the prodigious Wang Yu was even associating with him. Her name was known throughout the entire academy, a talent, whispered to be a once-in-a-decade prodigy, a true genius. However, they all believed she was merely wasting her precious time with that unremarkable, an average boy Ning Feng, a tragic anomaly who, at 18, had yet to awaken any power, while everyone else unlocked theirs at the age of 16. Some of them recalled the history of Wang Yu's deep connection with Ning Feng as friends since childhood. This fact only deepened their collective confusion, as Ning Feng was a known orphan whereas Wang Yu hailed from a family of considerable status and wealth. Later, Ning Feng was dragged by Wang Yu to the Awakening Exam Center, the sacred ground where all students were to unlock their innate talents, a rite of passage that began at 16 years of age. As with every passing year, the instructor explained the solemn rules, and heralded them as the shining future of their entire nation. Ning Feng, however, felt none of the brewing excitement. He couldn't fathom why Wang Yu was so gravely serious about his exam. He was already jaded, having failed this very test twice before. This would mark his third, and likely final, attempt. The students began to form a line for the awakening ritual. Before the colossal, pulsating awakening crystal, Ning Feng's sense of boredom was reaching its peak, hearing the hopeful whispers of everyone dreaming of their desired professions. Soon the moment arrived. It was Ning Feng's turn. A wave of murmurs spread. He was infamous among the student body, but for all the wrong reasons, as the shadow that always trailed the genius Wang Yu, the boy who was now 18 and had disgracefully failed this exam 2 times prior. If he were to fail this time, his already tarnished reputation would plummet from bad to absolute garbage. Ning Feng's teacher, Kai Wei, offered some reassuring words, telling him not to be nervous. She then instructed him to place his hand upon the awakening crystal. However, even as Ning Feng's palm rested on the cold crystalline surface, an agonizing silence stretched on for a moment. He was certain that this attempt was yet another miserable failure. But in that instant, a vision flooded Ning Feng's subconscious mind. While to the outside world, the crystal had finally begun to react to his touch, a shocking sign that meant even a perceived loser like Ning Feng was awakening. Within his mind, Ning Feng saw a torrent of details about his new profession. Most importantly, the number of stars he would be granted. The result: Ning Feng had awakened a mere 1-star profession, with a laughably pathetic skill named the Mud Marsh Technique. Teacher Kai Wei pitied the unfortunate Ning Feng for this outcome, to finally awaken such a low-tier profession after waiting for so long. And this pitiful display only fueled the other students to mock him even more relentlessly. The teacher inquired about the specific skill he had awakened, but he was completely lost in his own world, forcing her to call out his name a second time. Teacher Kai Wei assumed Ning Feng must have suffered a devastating mental blow. After all, he had failed the awakening test for 2 consecutive years, and now, in his 3rd year, he received only a single-star profession. She decided not to burden him by asking any more questions. So, Teacher Kai Wei simply instructed him to change into his uniform and prepare for the next grueling stage of the awakening examination. But Ning Feng was still attempting to process the impossible truth. He needed to confirm if he truly understood what his awakening meant. He recalled that he didn't just awaken a skill, he had also unlocked his very own system, a system which had bestowed upon him passive abilities, namely, dark homology and the arcane gift. These god-tier passive abilities, allowed him to wield dark energy without suffering any devastating backlash. But from what Ningfeng had always been taught, this dark power was branded as the most malevolent power in all existence. And as for him, he never imagined he could wield the highest tier of magic, a forbidden spell with such terrifying ease. Suddenly, he remembered that the system had transformed his pathetic mud marsh skill into a forbidden-level spell, reforging it into the formidable foul earth spell. Ningfeng began to have second thoughts, wondering if these tremendous abilities should ever be revealed. He would soon find out in the impending practical test ahead. The teacher announced the rules for the upcoming practical exam: to wage battle against monsters within the sealed testing realm, and become accustomed to their newly awakened skills and powers. Candidates were strictly forbidden from forming teams with anyone, or from attacking each other. And to ensure this rule was followed, the students would remain under the watchful eyes of supervision drones. Teacher Kai Wei urged the students to test their skills as soon as possible. Ningfeng, however, was far from certain about using his new skill so openly, because it was a forbidden art that summoned a shield from dark power. He feared that it was some kind of evil magic, which could land him in serious trouble if anyone were to witness it. The students charged into the hostile training realm, while our hero, Ningfeng, was desperately trying to get his system to explain the dangers of his forbidden spells, but to no avail. The other students immediately began their assault on the monsters in the realm, unleashing their newfound powers. On the other hand, Ningfeng was carefully hiding himself away from the roaming monsters because he desperately wanted to avoid using any of his forbidden spells, under the relentless surveillance of the hovering drones. Meanwhile, the drones were broadcasting every single moment to the monitoring division. The head examiner, Captain Ju, was growing furious watching a student just lazing about in hiding, while everyone else was rapidly leveling up by slaying monsters. He turned to Teacher Kai Wei and demanded to know what he was doing. Teacher Kai Wei quickly explained Ningfeng's unique circumstances, stating that the boy had awakened unusually late and wasn't in peak condition. On top of that, he possessed only a single defensive spell, which was completely unsuitable for any kind of solo combat situation. Captain Ju retorted that there was no reason for that kid to continue the exam, then, since he could never hope to become a true adventurer, with just a pathetic one-star profession to his name. Just then, a technician from the monitoring team shouted a report. One of the drone's video feeds was abruptly cut off after an attack, and even more unnerving, several immense power fluctuations were detected within the testing grounds. Captain Ju immediately commanded everyone to mobilize and investigate what was happening. On the other side of the field, at the location where the drone was destroyed, a student was paralyzed with terror after confronting immensely powerful monsters that had no business being inside the designated exam area. A hooded goblin monster appeared to be commanding the other goblin soldiers. This horrific scene was captured for a moment by a nearby drone, before the superior goblin shot it down to remove any prying eyes. However, the destroyed drone ended up crashing down right on top of Ningfeng, who was still hiding behind some dense bushes. He cried out in a moment of pain, which resulted in him being completely surrounded by goblins from all sides. The superior goblin regarded Ningfeng as nothing more than a tiny insect, while Ningfeng, for his part, was trying to understand how a high-level goblin got in here. But the silver lining was that the drone was no longer watching him. So, Ningfeng seized this golden opportunity to finally test his forbidden skill. Ningfeng unleashed his terrifying power, and suddenly, the surrounding goblins were left utterly petrified by the sheer volume of dark energy being unleashed by Ningfeng. The insurmountable wave of dark energy spread wide enough to sever all connections with the monitoring division, and they couldn't possibly fathom how so much dark energy could exist out there, an energy signature that equaled a cataclysmic king-level threat. They immediately called for reinforcements, and Teacher Kai Wei was deeply worried. After all, a king-level threat was a disaster capable of annihilating an entire city. Meanwhile, the High Goblin was terrified for its very existence, as Ningfeng's dark magic began to devour the very souls of the monsters. One by one they fell. Even Ningfeng found his own magic a bit terrifying. But when compared to the incredible speed of gaining experience points from vanquishing these monsters, it was a truly efficient method. The High Goblin couldn't comprehend how a mere human was able to command such an overwhelming power of darkness. And before it could even react, its movements were completely immobilized. The monster could not escape the suffocating grasp of the dark magic, ending up being absorbed along with all of its brethren. The death of the High Goblin alone granted Ning Feng 6,000 experience points, a staggering 600 times more than the common goblins. After the slaughter, Ning Feng's level skyrocketed straight to level 10. This was an unprecedented growth compared to students from previous years, who would only gain 1 or 2 levels at most in this training realm. However, even though Ning Feng was overjoyed with the experience points gained from that single elite goblin, he still wondered to himself how a monster of that caliber appeared in this exam venue to begin with. Ning Feng then examined the items dropped from defeating that monster, and both of the dropped items were of the legendary orange quality. These were items that granted permanent strength enhancements. These treasures provided the user with permanent attribute boosts, such as the Vanguard Mark, which gave a +10 agility bonus, and the second item he received was a powerful claw weapon. Ning Feng figured since he had no use for the weapon himself, he could still sell it on the market for a considerable fortune. Ning Feng was amazed that he finally had a chance to become truly powerful and wealthy just by slaying monsters. Just then, a loud announcement echoed, ordering students to abandon the test and teleport outside of the realm without a moment's delay. Ning Feng was just about to comply, but suddenly, his dark energy began to emanate uncontrollably around him. This made him realize the true reason why it was a forbidden skill. Residual traps of dark energy were left behind in the places where he had slaughtered the monsters just moments before. Ning Feng knew he had to get out of this place quickly, so he immediately activated the teleportation scroll right away. To avoid being discovered by anyone, just like him, all of the other students managed to make it out of the realm safely, and Ning Feng managed to slip away from the scene without being found out. The examiner commanded the students not to linger in the area, and to immediately return back to the safety of the city. He knew that even if all the students here were to team up, they wouldn't stand a chance against the king-level threat inside that realm, so they had no other choice but to wait for powerful reinforcements to arrive. But much to his astonishment, the dark energy from within the realm vanished as if it had never existed, and this phenomenon raised his suspicions that the demon wielding the dark energy had somehow escaped outside the realm. His guess was not incorrect, but the examiner had no way of knowing that Ning Feng was the true source of that overwhelming dark power. Teacher Kai Wei immediately ordered the security forces to seal off all of the school's premises and to only permit the uninvolved students to evacuate outside the perimeter. Ning Feng innocently asked Teacher Kai Wei what had happened, but the kind teacher just asked him if he was alright. Ning Feng simply nodded his head, and he was instructed to hurry up and leave the school immediately, after which the school was placed on a temporary suspension, and all of the students were informed not to return to campus until a further announcement was made. Ning Feng went to find his childhood friend, Wang Yu, and told her that there seemed to be a serious problem at the school. Wang Yu had already heard the news of the school being sealed off, due to the presence of some mysterious and unknown power. But as for Ning Feng, he couldn't determine if that power was from the elite monster or from his own malevolent dark energy. Either way, Wang Yu assumed that Ning Feng must be deeply bothered after enduring so much, only to have his long-awaited exam interrupted so abruptly. She then told him that since he was now a defensive spell user, he should officially join her team to level up, starting the next day. Ning Feng thanked her for her immense kindness, but he boasted that he could easily handle his leveling up on his own. In truth, Ning Feng was planning to go solo from now on, since his true power came from dark, forbidden spells which could not be casually used in front of other people, and he feared that his power might scare away Wang Yu. Wang Yu, on the other hand, just thought he was being lazy again, so she scolded him and made it crystal clear that he could not refuse her offer, and that no matter what, he absolutely had to come by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning to the West Gate. Ning Feng desperately tried to turn her down, but she just walked away, leaving him completely troubled by her overbearing, autocratic nature. Ning Feng started considering if he should just call in sick, but as far as he knew Wang Yu, he could not avoid her, and he might have to use his very last resort. After that, Ning Feng journeyed to the Yuanchang Exchange Company to purchase some equipment that had magical skills attached to them. This way, he might be able to pretend that he was using these normal skills, while carefully avoiding the use of his own forbidden skills. He prayed that his system wouldn't transform even the skills of his equipment into forbidden level spells. And aside from that important task, He also planned to sell some of the valuable loot he had gained earlier. Upon his entry into the building, he was greeted by a boldly dressed lady, and she smoothly asked him how she might be able to assist him today. Ning Feng stated he wanted to purchase an item with a spell attached to it, and that it could be anything from a variety of weapons to different types of clothing or even magical accessories. The attendant suggested that since he was just a newly awakened student, why didn't he just purchase one of the other high-level spell items instead? Unlike the low-level commandeer spell item Ning Feng had just mentioned, he explained that he only needed it temporarily, so he was fine without a high-level item. The attendant then called out for another new attendant, one who had only recently joined the exchange firm, and ordered her to handle Ning Feng's request, since she didn't want to waste her precious time on a seemingly poor customer. Ning Feng did not appreciate the condescending attitude she showed him, and just then, the new attendant arrived and politely asked him how she could help him. Ning Feng quickly told her all of the details of his request, and this new attendant was kind enough to patiently show him around and display many different items to him, while Ning Feng carefully tried them out one by one to find a suitable match. In the end, he finally found a magical ring that suited his requirements, and he sincerely thanked the attendant for accompanying him through so many items. He then asked her where he could go to sell his valuable loot, and the attendant politely escorted him to the appraisal consignment desk, where the loot intended for selling was appraised and subsequently traded. The manager of this section was a rather rude-looking man, and the kind attendant informed the master appraiser, Winston, that Ning Feng here wished to sell some of his loot. Ning Feng then revealed his legendary orange-level item, the clause, to him for a professional appraisal and asked for its value. Master Winston was left completely speechless at witnessing a real orange-level item, one with low-level requirements and an incredibly high attributes boost. An item like this would sell almost instantly on the market. He asked Ning Feng what kind of price he was expecting to get for it, to which he simply replied that the higher the price, the better it was for him. Winston mentioned that he would call some of his clients right away who would be very interested in this. In the meantime, he told the young attendant, Yang, to take good care of Ning Feng here. Winston began to talk over the phone with a wealthy client, while Ning Feng was graciously served some expensive tea. Soon, Winston was finished with his call to the client, and he excitedly informed Ning Feng that his precious item had been sold for a grand total of 50,000 crystals, and after deducting the standard 8% transaction fees from the total, Ning Feng would be receiving a staggering 46,000 crystals for the item. Ning Feng hadn't expected that it would sell for such a high price, and the newbie attendant Yang Xian felt incredibly lucky to get a valuable client like Ning Feng. Winston then proceeded to state that the money would be deposited into Ning Feng's account immediately. Meanwhile, Ning Feng decided to look around for some more powerful items he might want to buy. Meanwhile, the other attendants were having a talk with the girl, who had passed Ning Feng off to the newbie attendant earlier, and when they asked her why she had done such a thing, she arrogantly replied that she was only interested in rich and powerful and handsome young men, and that poor guys like that boy weren't even worthy of carrying her shoes. It was then that our boy came back from the appraisal room, and the self-conscious and catty girls wondered why the boy was walking with their stern-faced manager. One of the other attendants came over and told them that the boy had sold a piece of equipment for 50,000, and now he was going to buy another expensive piece of equipment. The bold and catty girl now deeply regretted her previous actions, and she desperately wanted to be the one to receive the commission from this, but it was far too late for her now. Now, as Yang Xian saw Ning Feng off at the exit, she told him to find her directly for much faster services in the future. The next time he came, leaving her name with him. The following day, our boy was walking like a true champion to the designated meeting spot, and he had made sure to check his new equipment from yesterday beforehand, to make absolutely sure that his equipment wouldn't be transformed to the forbidden level. Now he wouldn't have to worry about exposing his forbidden level skills to anyone. Ning Feng greeted Wang Yu with a casual wave of his hand, and standing beside her were the other members of her party as well. This group included a powerful shield warrior, a mage, a great axe berserker, and lastly a cleric for healing spells. Wang Yu began to introduce her party members to him, but Ning Feng immediately felt a cold, sharp, and hostile chill coming from their collective eyes, as if he owed them a debt of 80 million crystals or something. Then the shield warrior told Wang Yu that, since she was about to reach her monumental 7th transformation. He had gotten a special item for her. Ningfeng was amazed upon hearing that, since one would receive these transformation quests every 30 levels, which meant that Wang Yu had already managed to make it to level 60. She was truly worthy of being called a legendary genius. Then, the purple-haired guy proudly showed her the gift he had brought, which was revealed to be an advanced agility potion, an item that could permanently increase one's agility by a total of +3. The other party members were completely astonished by this, since permanent attribute-boosting items were known to be incredibly expensive. But the purple-haired guy boasted that it was nothing at all for him, since he had gotten help from his very rich father's connections to snatch this one up. However, Wang Yu politely turned him down and simply thanked him for the generous offer. The man then asked her why she didn't show even a little interest in it, since she wanted to apply for a prestigious top-tier university. But Wang Yu simply walked off and signaled to Ningfeng that they should get going. The purple-haired guy pointed his finger at Ningfeng and questioned Wang Yu if she was really going to waste her precious time on trash like him. Wang Yu became pissed off and warned him to watch his disrespectful words, but Zhao Cheng continued his trash-talking of our innocent and unassuming boy for being just a pathetic one-star adventurer. Ningfeng couldn't make any sense of why he was being targeted like this now, but he honestly didn't care all that much, since he could easily kill this purple-haired guy with a forbidden spell at any time. The cleric tried to get the purple-haired man to calm himself down, but he bad-mouthed her as well and rudely told her to get out of his way. The purple-haired guy then proceeded to continue mocking our boy, saying that the entire net worth of Ningfeng's whole body couldn't be exchanged for even a single bottle of his attribute potion. So, a piece of trash like him should just get lost from his sight. Ningfeng then asked why the purple-haired guy was going around biting everyone like a mad dog just because he had gotten his hands on some potion with a +3 effect. The mage also decided to join in on the mocking and asked, why doesn't Ningfeng just show them something more powerful to back his words? And Zhao Cheng then added a bet that he would kneel down on the ground and kowtow to him if Ningfeng really did show them something better. But if Ningfeng couldn't do that, then our hero would have to kowtow to him in front of everyone instead. Ningfeng didn't like wasting his precious time on such nonsense, so he just took out the legendary orange level item, the Vanguard emblem, which permanently boosts one's agility by 10 full attributes. She had never laid eyes on such an item before in her life, and all of the others were just as equally shocked by this, so much so that they immediately thought that it had to be a lie. Ningfeng simply stated that they could just try to check if it was a lie or not, but Wang Yu hesitated to consume such a rare and precious item. Ningfeng then told her that he had just found it lying around at his home, and that it was originally meant to be a gift for her anyway. The other party members wanted to see her use the item right away, and so Wang Yu consumed the legendary Vanguard emblem for real, raising everyone's intense curiosity to see its powerful effect. Ningfeng was completely confident in the item, and Wang Yu also confirmed that her attributes had increased for real. Zhao Cheng refused to believe that any of this was real, and he immediately accused Ningfeng of having stolen the item. Ningfeng then reminded him to kowtow now, just as he had bet he would, and to make sure to be loud about it since he couldn't hear him properly, obviously and blatantly making fun of the arrogant fool. But Zhao Cheng stubbornly refused to do it at first, which made his own party members begin to doubt if he really meant his words. The sheer rude and arrogant purple-haired guy was now left with no other options but to get down on his knees and admit that he was in the wrong in front of Ningfeng, and so Ningfeng just smirked in victory and waved goodbye to everyone else as he left with Wang Yu. And when she said that she was sorry to him for her party member's rude behavior, Ningfeng told her that she didn't have to be sorry with him at all, and if possible, he then tried to tell her as happily as he could that she didn't have to accompany him on his journey either, and that she should be focused on her own second transformation quest so that she could get into the absolute best university in the country. His real intention was just to go completely solo from now on, since he couldn't possibly level up with her around him. Wang Yu just thought that he was sacrificing for her, and she didn't want him to give up on his own future. She also had brought something along for him, and when Ningfeng saw it, they were skill books, and not just any skill books but purple ones at that, which were considered to be the second rarest items after the orange level ones. He figured that they must not have come very cheap at all, but Wang Yu didn't think much of their monetary value, especially when compared to the legendary orange emblem that he had given to her. Ningfeng accepted her goodwill gesture with a warm and genuine smile, after which he headed straight to the realm known by the name of the Dangerous Graveyard. Here, there were many dangers, like having to face the terrifying undead. And currently, the undead were being killed off one after the other, by the powerful light arrows being shot by none other than Wang Yu. While Ningfeng was just standing back and enjoying the show from the sidelines, he was also getting kind of bored as well, since the experience gained by the monsters here was extremely low for him. But he couldn't just tell Wang Yu that he was already a level 10 adventurer. It was then that Wang Yu received a call, and when she picked it up, it was her party members on the other end, telling her the big news, that a grand monster boss, a dreaded fallen necromancer, was about to make its appearance, and that they should take this incredibly rare opportunity to level up. The cleric then asked her if she would be coming to join them. The cleric was very polite in asking her to come along, but Zhao Cheng just shouted that Wang, you had to come and join them, because there was absolutely no way that they could fight the boss without her, and they might miss out on the rare item drops from that fallen necromancer, which were very important items for the likes of Zhao Cheng. Wang Yu heard him loud and clearly, but she didn't just want to leave Ningfeng behind all alone here. But Ningfeng quickly assured her that she could go without him, and since they both would still be in the same secret realm together, he could just level up with her at some point later on. Wang Yu agreed with his sound logic, and she told him to go to the designated safe zone and wait for her there. Ningfeng gave her a thumbs up and was really happy that she was finally going. Now, as she went away from him, he told her to come by later to play with him if she had some free time, but she was in no mood at all to waste her precious time playing around. Now, Ningfeng became deadly serious, now that he was finally alone. And since the Grand Monster Boss was here, he should try out the new powerful skills he had gotten to level up. He figured that the more forbidden spells he had, the better it would be. And unfortunately, he could only use 3 of his skills at his current level. And the skill slot was set to increase at every 5th level he gained. This meant that he would be able to use the skill books given to him by Wang Yu once he had reached the lofty heights of level 15. Meanwhile, in another area of the dangerous graveyard filled with undead, some other party was planning to break through the horde of monsters, to open up a direct path to the formidable boss monster. Suddenly, they all saw a huge and devastating fire attack, which meant that another adventurer party was already far ahead of them. They went ahead to investigate and noticed that it was the Lion Guild, led by Zhao Cheng, and they all knew that that party was filled with talented adventurers, like Wang Yu. Their party was currently paving their path without much of a difficulty, and they had set their sights on defeating this boss before anyone else could. The cleric then noticed that Wang Yu seemed to be much stronger than she was before, which had happened because of her recent permanent stat boost. Meanwhile, inside of the perilous and ancient tomb, the absolute deepest and darkest part of this entire secret realm, a mysterious portal suddenly opened up near the tomb, and from this spatial magic, our boy had just teleported here, directly to the boss monster's location. He faced the fallen and dreaded necromancer boss directly, and he said that it was time for the boss to say bye-bye for now. The fallen necromancer instantly attacked Ningfeng with all of its might, and the sheer impact of the attack left the targeted area completely damaged. But Ningfeng had timely dodged his way out of the attack's range. But the boss just thought that he had evaporated. The human, and it dared to wonder how an arrogant adventurer appeared alone in front of him. Ningfeng just appeared from out of the back of the fallen necromancer, with his newly acquired spatial steps, and responded to the monster boss's question that he had dared to come all alone, because he didn't want to have to share any of the spoils from the battle. Ningfeng then activated his Meteor Rain Forbidden spell, and suddenly, the entire sky was covered with powerful meteors made of pure dark energy. The boss monster wasn't the only thing that was damaged by those overpowered meteors, as the whole tomb got destroyed and crumbled apart into pieces. Ningfeng just smirked as he saw that it all went easier than he had expected for him, and he started to receive the experience points from all of the monsters that he had just killed all around this entire area. And as for the fearsome boss monster, it alone had gained him a total of 50,000 experience points, leveling him up straight to the incredible heights of level 30. Ningfeng liked most of the loot that he had received, although he had gotten some of the skill books that he wouldn't be able to use, but still, they would be able to sell for a lot of money on the market. So he kept the unusable ones and quickly consumed the necromancer's emblem, which boosted his spirit attribute by a whopping 15 points, while also deducting his total stamina by a total of 3. Right after after he had absorbed the powerful necromancer's emblem, Ning Feng got yet another amazing notification that he now had a chance to awaken into one of the hidden professions, like an undead wizard, or to become an all-powerful elemental mage. Ning Feng's expression grew deadly serious as he let out a confident smirk, knowing full well just how extremely rare these hidden professions really were. He figured that these powerful emblems must be the keys to awaken the hidden occupations, and that aside from this fact, he decided to just choose to become an all-powerful elemental mage. While Ning Feng was in the very middle of this powerful awakening, everyone else who was around the surrounding area, including the members of Wang Yu's party, got caught up right in the middle of the terrifying dark magic that had spread around the whole entire place. Wang Yu quickly called for her party to make a full retreat, but the arrogant purple-haired guy didn't want to leave because of this rare boss. Wang Yu then tried to contact Ning Feng so that he would leave quickly, and it seemed to her that he had left the area already. Ning Feng had actually gone straight to the fabled Ascension Hall, since he had now reached the lofty heights of level 30, and he didn't see very many other people around the place at that moment. As he walked even further into the hall, a woman asked him if he was there to receive a job task quest, to which he simply nodded, and the woman carried out his registration work by asking him for some of his personal information. She didn't really think that he was all that talented of a person, since changing jobs at the age of 18 was too late for an average person. When all of the preparations for the quest were finally done, she then asked him to follow her over to the designated quest machine. She gave him the proper instructions and was about to leave him, but she then sensed that something was amiss at that moment. A guy in a suit of armor suddenly came up to her and informed her that the perilous tomb had been completely destroyed, and that the source of the immense power, which had devastated the whole entire area, was still not yet clear to them. But they had speculated that it must be a powerful and dangerous threat, a king-level threat, or perhaps even something higher. The woman seemed to be much more than what she looked like on the surface, as she noted that king-level threats had now happened a total of 2 times. The guy then mentioned that the higher-ups have requested her direct assistance, and it seemed that she had some kind of a secret code name, the Lone Shadow. During the first job change quest that he was given, Ning Feng received a total of 2 different quest options. One of the options was to defeat the boss of the Deadly Illusion Tomb, a quest that was ranked as a level, and to obtain its Blood Soul Crown to become a necromancer. Or, he could also pick the much harder second quest instead, which was to obtain the Holy Emblem from the fabled Divine Temple, a quest that was ranked as S-level, to become the master of all forms of magic. Since Ning Feng wanted to become the powerful master of all magic, he just accepted the second quest and then set out to clear out this S-rank mission in order to obtain a rare and powerful hidden class. He planned on utilizing these 3 full days of quest time with the greatest of ease, and as he left the job transfer hall to begin his new quest, Ning Feng then noticed that the lady attendant was not the same woman who had helped him from earlier. Meanwhile, that very same woman, the one known as the Lone Shadow, was at the tomb that had been destroyed to pieces by our boy, Ning Feng. While she was busy analyzing the destroyed and ruined place, one of the members from the monitoring team mentioned his great surprise on seeing the legendary Lone Shadow right here in the flesh. The Lone Shadow was actually a top-secret and mysterious organization, and all of the members of this elite organization possessed hidden classes that allowed them to use the immense power of darkness in their combat. And this mysterious woman was also one of them as well. But apparently, she was having a lot of trouble in this new investigation. She reported that the trail had gone completely cold, as if the perpetrator behind this cataclysmic damage vanished into thin air. A chill ran down one of the monitoring agent's spines. He thought this could be the harbinger of a much larger crisis. Beyond that, he questioned if there was a terrifying connection between these events. She found it impossible to state anything with certainty, and resolved to escalate the matter to her superiors, demanding to deploy more assets for this critical investigation. The man asked Madame Lan if this culprit could possibly be a monster. She suspected it might well be a powerful mutant, much like herself. However, she confirmed one horrifying truth. The danger this perpetrator posed vastly exceeded even the king level, because to command such an abyssal amount of dark power, one would have to pay a toll that no mortal body could ever endure. The agent understood. It meant an unbelievably powerful entity was lurking somewhere within their city, a being that could unleash a catastrophe at any moment. Lan nodded grimly and stated, We must locate this entity, and we must do it immediately. Meanwhile, Ning Fong, the actual culprit, was simply enjoying the dim atmosphere of his room, after which he sat down to master the skills from the tomes he received from Wang Yu. One of the abilities, Aura Shield, instantly began to fuse with his forbidden spell, Foul Earth Shell, and forged a new forbidden spell named the Foul Earth Defense. It could now absorb any attack with 100% efficiency and reflect it with equal force. Ning Fong was growing fond of his ever-increasing defensive might, and now he turned his attention to the other skill book, the Rockfall spell. It also merged with his existing abilities, and he acquired a new passive skill, Elemental Master of Earth, which amplified the effects of all his Earth-related spells by a staggering 20%. Ning Fong now had 4 empty skill slots remaining, so he planned to go shopping for more skills at the exchange later the next day. At the Grand Exchange Building, he strode in, his eyes scanning the area as if searching for someone. The arrogant purple-haired woman from before immediately spotted him, attempting to be friendly this time to snatch a commission. But Ning Fong didn't give her a second glance, as he was looking for the kind attendant. Yang Xin. The woman claimed Yang Xian was currently handling another client, so she offered to assist him in her place instead. Ning Fong flatly refused the offer, and stated he preferred to browse the selection by himself. This blatant ignorance of his infuriated her. She couldn't believe he thought she was inferior to that little newbie. She still tried desperately to get his attention, but Ning Fong continued walking, and after a short while, Yang Xian came running, explaining she wasn't busy at all, but had simply been having her meal. She was informed by one of her colleagues that Ning Fong was here, after which she immediately rushed all the way over. Ning Fong apologized for interrupting her meal, and offered to treat her to dinner as compensation. Witnessing this, the purple-haired woman grew even more furious, as she had just missed out on another massive deal. Ning Fong proceeded to sell the 2 skill books he received as loot from vanquishing the monsters, and he wanted to acquire other tomes. During the appraisal with manager Winston, Winston told Yang Xian to accompany him while he appraised the powerful items. These skill books were no ordinary purple-level items. Winston was becoming increasingly curious about Ning Feng's origins, so he secretly arranged for someone to investigate him. After that, Ning Fong took Yang Xian to dinner, and when he asked for the check, Yang Xian revealed that she had already paid for it all. Ning Fong felt a slight pang of disappointment, as he genuinely wanted to treat her as he had promised. But Yang Xian insisted she had a special reason to treat him, so she did. Ning Fong wondered what it could possibly be, but she decided to keep it a secret for now. Later, Ning Fong offered to give her a ride back to her home, but since she had to make a stop somewhere along the way, she simply booked her own taxi. She set the taxi's destination for the city's main hospital, where her father had been admitted. She was eternally grateful to Ning Fong, since the huge commission she earned from him earlier helped her finally pay off the mounting medical bills. She teared up, as the bills were at last covered. But in that very instant, the taxi she was traveling in was involved in a horrific accident. The driver was killed instantly, and through the shattered windshield, Yang Xian saw the taxi driver was actually slain by a monstrous creature. And unexpectedly, a secret realm seemed to have ripped open in this very area, unleashing mass attacks from the monsters within. Yang Xian quickly leaped out of the ruined car, and wondered in terror why there were monsters in this supposedly safe zone. As she was surrounded by beasts, Yang Xian noticed another secret realm portal opening up, from which a man with a monster-like hand descended, smirking menacingly with a strange amulet around his neck. Yang Xian tried desperately to fight back against the monsters, revealing that she was actually a 1-star mage at level 34, but her attacks were completely ineffective against this horrifying monster. The monster was about to end her life with a single devastating strike, but then someone killed it with a powerful slash from a large sword. This man was an adventurer from the city's elite security team, and after rescuing her, he confirmed if she was all right, and urged her to find a safe place to hide immediately. The man in the heavy-clad armor was not pleased by the sight of the entire area being completely overrun by monsters. He had never witnessed a secret realm opening within human cities like this, and as for the monsters from this secret realm, they were by no means something an ordinary adventurer could ever handle. He recalled hearing from that high-ranking official that there might be an exceptionally powerful monster hiding in the city, and this incident could be related. Just then, a dangerous, sneaky attack was about to strike him, but the man possessed incredible reflexes and managed to evade the devastating blow. He questioned if the cowardly, sneaky attacker was a human, or more likely a terrifying mutant. This man was the same one who had hailed from the secret realm before, and he claimed to be neither a human nor a mutant, but instead, a guardian wielding the power of darkness. The man had never heard of this guardian thing, but right now was not the time to dwell on such trivial matters. He swung his massive sword without holding back against that so-called guardian, but the guardian just punched back his sword along with him. With tenfold the force, the man barely survived the devastating hit, and he quickly determined the strength of his opponent to be at least. At the third transformation, it was then the Dark Guardian became serious, as he began to exude an ominous, dark aura, followed up by a direct and brutal confrontation. To show the weak human his proper place, he delivered a jab straight to the abdomen of the man, causing him to bleed profusely, regardless of his heavy armor, sending him flying away to the cold ground. The guardian laughed maniacally as he claimed to have become so much stronger thanks to this power of darkness, and he felt like an endless stream of power was surging through him. Suddenly, the guardian was harshly scolded by a voice coming from his amulet, calling him a pathetic human and reminding him not to get carried away, since this immense power was granted to him by the one behind this voice. Without his power, the man would be just like a worm in the dirt. The guardian could feel the watchful, terrifying eye of his master, looking down through the crack formed in the sky with the secret realm. This demon was on a whole other level, and seemed to be the mastermind behind this horrific attack on the human city. The guardian bowed down to his master like a pathetic slave, after which, the demon commanded him to turn everything in this city to dust. The slave guardian heeded his master's terrifying command, but he was completely unaware that our chill protagonist had just come out of the restroom, and was surprised by how drastically the scenery had changed. From just a few minutes ago, there were monsters everywhere, causing destruction and slaughtering people. And right then, one of the monsters spotted Ningfang and charged at him.
On pure instinct, Ningfang stood perfectly idle,
while the very shape of the ground beneath him began to change, and suddenly, a sharp peak erupted from the ground, and killed the monster in a single second. This was one of Ningfang's many skills, Earth Spike Wall, which perfectly complemented his other Earth-based spells. Ningfang switched to his adventurer's uniform, and headed towards the center of this chaos, where he saw a human in clad armor, being almost beaten to death by this mysterious mutant. The guardian didn't expect another human was still left alive when he saw Ningfang, and decided to finish him off in as little time as possible to move on. But as he lunged to attack Ningfang, he was unaware that he had just called for his own death. Ningfang didn't do a single thing, while the guardian tried to crush him with his mutated hand. Only a second later, the smirking guardian came to realize it wasn't going to be that easy, as he saw Ningfang opposing his grip with a formidable force field. The guardian couldn't comprehend how a weak human had blocked his attack, while the master of the slave sensed the exact powerful dark energy that Ningfang was exuding. The demon master immediately admitted that the threat of this human far surpassed his very own, and even from that immense distance, he sensed a presence more terrifying than death itself in Ningfang. Ningfang, on the other hand, just thought, is this demon planning to cast a forbidden spell in the city? That would leave me no choice but to end it all here myself. Ningfang freed himself with ease, and at the same time, the demonic arm of the guardian completely shattered, because his master had pulled back all the dark energy he had provided him. The guardian tried desperately to contact his master, but the demon master had already fled, shouting a full retreat to every monster and demon in this area. The monsters quickly listened to their master, and they retreated so incredibly fast, like a deer running from a hungry tiger. The guardian slave was left behind like an abandoned puppy, with his arms shattered and now extremely weak compared to before. Ningfang was amused by this sight and decided to have some fun. Now, we get a little information on the so-called mutants. They are those humans who have obtained a hidden class that uses the power of darkness. This ability to wield dark power made them stronger than any of the ordinary classes. However, when they happen to lose that very power of darkness, they become incredibly weak, just like the guardian slave that was abandoned by the demon lord. Behind him, he was immediately killed by Ningfang's earth magic, punching a hole right through him, And now that Ningfang had cleared up the situation here, he decided to quickly take the loot and head back home, before anyone else could notice. After a few seconds, the members of the Lone Shadow arrived at the chaotic site, and were surprised to see the monsters. And the secret realm had already completely disappeared. Kuang Lan was also present here, and she found it strange for the monsters to just attack and then disappear without destroying everything in the area, as if they had some ulterior motive for their arrival. She asked her other members what the scene was like in other areas affected by this catastrophe, to which they replied that most areas were now safe, except for the south area, which was the epicenter of this invasion. Kuang Lan recalled that was the area where Captain Zack had gone off to, so she quickly decided to head there herself. Meanwhile, in the south area at this very moment, a man in green armor was observing the dead guardian, the one killed by Ningfang before. This man was Darius, and he realized that someone had taken everything from this dead man's body, hinting that he might have known this dead man from before. Suddenly, Darius was warned not to move from there by Kuang Lan, and she demanded to know who he was. Darius told her to relax and said he was a member of Cloud Mirage, as he showed her the emblem which served as the proof of his membership. Kuang Lan recalled that Cloud Mirage was an unofficial group, made up entirely of elite fighters. But since she had heard they operate in complete secret, she wanted to know the reason why Darius, a member of Cloud Mirage, was doing here. Darius responded he had come here because of this dead man, because apparently this man used to be one of them, but he had betrayed the organization, and assisted monsters to invade their organization, and kill most of them, leaving only a handful of survivors. If the death of this man was what had stopped this current invasion. But Darius knew for sure about that, and he had his own question to ask, if they were the ones who had killed this man. Kuang Lan denied it, they were not, which only confused Darius further as to who could have possibly killed this man, since he had tried his best until now, but didn't even get to touch him because this guy would always manage to escape. Kuang Lan, on the other hand, was perplexed to see the state of Captain John, who had been defeated by that guardian slave, despite being a 3-transformation adventurer. Right now, both Kuang Lan and Darius couldn't help but wonder if there really was such a powerful person in this city, who could kill that demon in one strike like that. Darius started walking away, and Kuang Lan asked him where he was going, to which Darius just replied he was off to find something. Meanwhile, back at Ningfeng's house, his smile was reaching his eyes, as he had managed to get 2 legendary orange-level items, the Eternal Glory armor and pants, both of which required a user to be at least level 120 to use them. These rewards were even more exciting than the boss rewards from last time, and Ningfang figured out the reason why that guy wasn't wearing it. It meant his level wasn't high enough. Ningfang figured if his level had been high, he might have had to use his forbidden skills to defeat him. But as for the amulet, Ningfang couldn't see any information about it through the system, which made him wonder if there was some ancient god, or something hiding deep inside of it. At the same time, through this very amulet, the Demon Lord was able to see and hear Ningfeng's every word, and just when he felt relieved by the thought that he hadn't been discovered, he heard Ningfeng's doubts of someone hiding inside. The Demon Lord jumped in absolute fear and cut off all of the connections, to not risk exposing his location. This caused fear amongst not only him, but all of the other monsters as well. And in the end, the Demon Lord couldn't help but wonder how Ningfeng had sensed him. The next day, at the city hospital, Captain Zack seemed to have regained consciousness, and he mentioned having seen a young fighter who had saved everyone in the city. Captain Zack was actually helped by the man in the green armor, Darius, and just at that time, both of them saw the enemy running away. After seeing that mysterious young man, Kuang Lan could sense vaguely that whoever this mysterious person was, their strength was no lower than her own. This caused some worries for them, as Kuang Lan guessed this person might not be registered for sure, since they couldn't find anything about them. Captain Zack mentioned that, with such a person living among them, he already felt so much safer than he had before. The man behind Kuang Lan suggested a new idea, that they could try tracking the remnants of the dark power from yesterday's horrifying battlefield. However, he still had a fear. What if this mysterious figure also turns out to be a dangerous mutant, which would mean that rather than having safety, they might be in a much bigger danger? Then Captain Zack cut off his train of thought, and said he was just overthinking it. But Kuang Lan couldn't just come to a final verdict on this matter regarding this incredibly mysterious figure. On the other hand, Ningfang had just arrived in the area of another secret realm with the purpose of completing his job transfer task. Ningfang went straight to the Temple of Radiance for his mission, but unexpectedly, it seemed, he was being followed by none other than the man in the green armor. The scene shifts back to the previous night, at the trading building, where Darius had visited in search of the orange items, the set of S-ranked armor and pants. Manager Winston shook hands to welcome Darius, and the purple-haired agent was very much eager to serve this rich and strong-looking man for his money. Through the manager, Winston, Darius learned of a mysterious young man willing to sell the exact S-rank armor and pants set that Darius was desperately looking for, after which Darius asked the manager, "Where is this person right now?" Winston replied that the man hadn't come here today, as he seemed to have something important to do. Darius recalled. This person most likely had the set of his master's ancient relic, so he asked Winston for Ningfang's location, ready to pay for just the information as well. Winston was growing a little hesitant, as he noticed that the moment Ningfang put the suit on sale, this young man had come right away as if he had planned. Winston confirmed the location of Ningfang through the person he had sent to investigate him, and after Darius had left, Winston recalled that, according to his investigation, Ningfang's parents were just ordinary, two-star professionals who had disappeared. Early on, Ningfang was left all alone and attended the city school, later on awakening his profession very late at the age of 18, which was just a measly one-star profession. The purple-haired which thought our guy was nothing but trash after all, and questioned where he could have possibly gotten those items. The agent came to the conclusion that he might have stolen them, which must be the reason why Darius was looking for him. Winston thought even if it wasn't stolen, the means he got it through wouldn't have been legitimate by the circumstances, and either way, she figured that Ningfeng would now have to suffer the full wrath of that fourth transformation guy. Now, meanwhile, Darius was still tailing Ningfeng with the suspicion of how this mysterious young man could defeat the secret realm invasion that had defeated even his own master. He just knew for now that his master's relics were on the guy, and if he's not a strong person himself, then it was more likely there was someone incredibly strong behind him, so he had better remain cautious of him. As Ningfeng walked further, he saw various adventurers fighting the monsters outside the Temple of Radiance, and now he decided to change into his adventurer's outfit. Darius figured he should be able to gauge Ningfeng's strength with his equipment, but to his utter disappointment, Ningfeng only changed into a very ordinary-looking outfit, which just made him look like a student who hadn't even graduated yet. Then he thought Ningfeng might be doing this on purpose, to disguise himself, so from here on, Darius took his following much more seriously, and used his marking skill on Ningfeng's body to know his whereabouts at any time. He also kept Ningfeng's appearance the same as his casual outfits, to easily differentiate him from the others. In the heat of the battlefield, Ningfeng just walked straight into the Temple of Radiance, and Darius wondered what he was going to do with these low-level monster parts. It was then Ningfeng was suddenly attacked by an ice blaster beam from a monster, but his force field blocked the attack. Without him having to do a single thing, Darius was shocked to see an absolute defense skill like that even exist, and he started to sense that even the monsters began to fear Ningfeng by his very presence.
Ningfang
Then went and stood right against the final boss of this Temple of Radiance, but it wasn't that strong. So Darius wondered why Ningfeng even came here, although the final boss himself broke a sweat and didn't move, to stay safe from being attacked by the real monster here, referring to Ningfeng. While Ningfeng just didn't bother with this pathetic boss, since it wasn't mentioned in his job change quest, so he went around the statue to a hidden place, after which Ningfeng figured this must be the area, and that angel with wings and armor must be the boss he came here for. Just as he expected, the angel's eyes started glowing, and it immediately started creating a large distance between him and Ningfeng. Ningfeng wondered why it had retreated, while Darius, who was watching from the back, couldn't believe there was a rare hidden boss in this place. He couldn't make sense of how Ningfeng would know that, but for Ningfeng he just looked up his quest again, to confirm this six-winged angel was the one he needed to defeat. So, Ningfang was also up for the action to clear out this S-ranked quest, whereas the six-winged angel was running for its very life, but it didn't know where else it could possibly escape to. In its own secret realm here, the six-winged angel was about to leave from the way up in the temple to the skies, but Ningfang didn't want to waste any more time, so he activated the forbidden spell, Thunderfall Abyss, which summons a massive thunderstorm rivaling the power of the heavens. A giant, scary eye opened in the sky and unleashed that massive thunder, which couldn't even be described with just the word, overwhelming. The thunderstorm fell directly at the six-winged angel, leaving Ningfang not having to do much to chase it anymore. Meanwhile, the Temple of Radiance crumbled, apart from the terrifying thunder hitting it directly, and Darius was extremely terrified by the scene he had just witnessed. As the temple kept falling apart, Darius recalled that he had never seen such a whirl, devastating magic at this level, and he was sure now that Ningfeng's strength was definitely more than his own master's. He wondered if it was around an 8th-level transformation, but either way for Ningfeng, he was casual about being a little bit pissed, since he couldn't level up from all the experience from defeating the monsters here, as he'll have to complete his first transformation quest first. He decided to just go back and submit the quest, feeling satisfied with just the holy emblem he had gotten, which was also an orange-level item that provides a permanent +8 spirit attribute and a 100% recovery effect. Ningfeng was about to use the teleportation scroll to go back, but right then, Darius straight up called out to him as boss. Ningfeng was shocked, wondering why someone else was here, and if this guy had seen everything he had just done. Darius thought Ningfeng seemed upset from his interruption, so he started requesting forgiveness and stating he could explain. Just then, they heard the alarms for danger to the adventurers, and Ningfeng told Darius to first get out of here, then they could talk after that. They went under a tree, and Ningfeng learned of Darius following him all the way here. Darius claimed he didn't mean anything rude by it, and he just wanted to confirm something. Given Ningfeng's young age, he wouldn't have believed how strong Ningfeng was if he hadn't seen it himself. Darius mentioned that his master had sacrificed his life in the past just to seal the secret realm temporarily that had invaded their organization. And even so, the traitor had escaped from the scene. Then, over the years, Darius learned that the traitors used many humans as sacrificial offerings to break that powerful seal on the secret realm. Ningfeng wasn't that interested in his story, but thought it was troublesome that if this fourth transformation powerhouse, Darius, hadn't shown himself, Ningfeng wouldn't have noticed him at all. It bugged him a little to quickly level up, if he didn't want to be exposed. Darius was scared by Ningfeng's silence, as he thought Ningfeng might be thinking of silencing Darius by killing him. Darius then thanked Ningfeng for avenging his master, and stated that if he ever needed anything in the future, he could just let him know.
Ningfeng figured.
Since this person was like a lone wolf powerhouse himself, he might be useful for him, so he just made it clear to Darius that no one else should know about what had happened today, besides Darius, and Darius promised to keep his mouth shut. Darius was convinced that, even though Feng's skills were filled with a strong power of darkness, it didn't harm any innocent people, and had even saved the city before by repelling the secret realm invasion. He admired Ningfeng for doing these things, without even demanding anything in return. Darius decided to settle in the same city, Chandor City, so he could stay around Ningfeng. Ningfeng's phone rang, and it was Teacher Chai wanting to ask where he was. Ningfeng replied he was just out of town and was going to head back home. He asked if she needed anything, to which she just replied she had something to discuss when he got back. Ningfeng wondered why she had called him so suddenly. While on Teacher Kai's side, Kuang Lan was also present, and she asked her how the call went. Teacher Kai replied that Ningfeng was fine, and he was already on his way back. Kuang Lan mentioned it was quite surprising for a student who had just awakened to be already coming to get his first transformation job, and if she hadn't noticed it, they would have missed this one out. Teacher Kai believed Ningfeng was not a bad person, but Kuang Lan wanted to verify it herself. She recalled the meeting of the Lone Shadow organization from before, where they were talking about the recent dangers, and then Kuang Lan had asked her question. Could these two forbidden spells be cast by a mutant? There was a moment of silence before the old man asked Kuang Lan how she could doubt that, despite being a mutant herself. It was because she should know that all mutants need to pay an equal price for using the power of darkness, and the greater the spell, the higher the price, and the amount of dark energy required for a forbidden spell would lead to any mutant even turning into a monster as a price to pay with their own body. So a mutant of a king-level threat could simply not exist at all. The blue-haired guy called her, confused for even imagining a king-level mutant, and joked that she should just start writing stories, if she liked imagining things so much. Kwang Lon stated she was just considering all of the possibilities, and it was up to them whether to listen or not. The man called her incompetent to still be arguing about it, and he bet that if there really is a king-level mutant, he would happily let her use his head as a football. The old man concluded the meeting by denying the request of Kwang Lon, who was asking for more manpower from the Lone Shadow organization. She asked if this meant they didn't trust her, but the old man just excused them because they needed more time to consider it. Kwang Lon figured it was no use talking further about it, and suddenly, a woman barged in to give news to the captain about the Temple of Radiance breaking into pieces by a destructive magic. She reported there were no casualties, fortunately. Teacher Kai was surprised to hear the details of the meeting, as she recalled Ning Fong choosing the Temple of Radiance for his training ground. Kwang Lon connected all of the dots, and it interested her further to find out Ning Fong's role in all of this. Meanwhile, at the Longo City, which was near the secret realm with the Temple of Radiance, there was a huge barrier activated around the city, and now Ning Fong and Darius had to wait with the others to go anywhere. The officials assured the citizens not to worry, as the barrier was raised to its highest level, alert for their protection, so they were safe.
Ning Fong
Didn't expect the commotion caused by him would directly trigger the highest possible alert, and now he would have to wait until this alert is finally lifted. Just then, a crack formed in the sky, and the one who caused it was a high-level demon, who planned to invade the human city. The demon wondered why the humans had already activated a barrier, as if they knew he was coming, although it was irrelevant to him because either way, he launched the attack on the humans. Along with the monster army he had brought along, the demon pointed at the barrier to open a crack in it, after which he commanded the whole army to unleash an attack on them. All the citizens quickly saw the army of monsters appearing out of thin air, and not only that, but they also managed to cross through the barrier. The security officials didn't expect this to happen, while the monsters immediately started killing off the people, creating a massive commotion around the area. The officials couldn't make sense out of how the monsters broke through the barrier, but now wasn't the time to keep thinking, as they needed to evacuate the citizens. Darius, sensing the ominous shift in the atmosphere, informed his new master, Ning Fong, that this was likely another high-intensity invasion orchestrated by demons. He turned to Ning Fong, awaiting his command on whether they should intervene. But Ning Fong simply posed a question back, asking if he had a viable solution. Darius was momentarily taken aback by the inquiry. Why would the supreme boss, a being of such immense power, ask for his input? He was so overwhelmingly strong himself, after all. Then it dawned on him, this was a subtle test of his capabilities from Ning Fong. With newfound determination, Darius resolved to handle this crisis by himself, to unequivocally prove his immense worth to his new master. Meanwhile, Ning Fong coolly calculated it would be far more convenient for him not to be directly involved. The sheer destructive nature of his dark, forbidden spells might tragically harm the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Just then, the high demon plummeted to the ground like a meteor, exuding a heavy, oppressive dark magic presence around him. He clearly had no intention of waiting to begin the slaughter. The city's security officials desperately launched arrows at the high demon, but their efforts were completely futile. The demon didn't even bother to dodge such pathetically weak attacks. A brave swordsman attempted to charge from the demon's blind spot, but he was instantly annihilated by the demon's reflexive backhand swing. The archer froze in terror, realizing they couldn't even touch this monstrous demon, while the demon continued his casual, deathly stroll, remarking that there were no truly strong individuals among the humans. The demon headed towards a large group of people to flatten them all, and he swung down his massive sword at a helpless, blue-haired girl. But then, Unexpectedly for the demon, his attack was blocked by Darius using only his dagger and a single hand. The demon could feel the immense strength of this one for real, and Darius remarked that he would not let his boss get involved personally, because it would just be a complete waste of the boss's precious time. So he would much rather take care of this entire situation himself. Ningfeng internally wondered when exactly he had become Darius's boss. Meanwhile, the demon refused to take the humiliation and was about to retaliate, but Darius made his move first, pushing the demon back with incredible force. The demon spurted out blue blood from his mouth, reeling from the impact of Darius's powerful attack. And before the demon could even counter, he witnessed the truly terrifying side of Darius as he followed up with another devastating attack. Darius expertly used his twin daggers to launch a brutal series of slashes upon the demon and finished the job in an incredibly flashy way. The civilians witnessed the incredible scene and were now confident that this man would definitely wipe out all of the invading demons. Darius didn't even flinch until he had slain the demon and walked ahead with absolutely no change in his expression at all. The truth was, Darius was a level 137 adventurer, with his profession being the legendary secret martial artist, a 5-star hidden class. Ningfeng was extremely impressed on the inside by Darius's stunning performance, but he maintained a composed look and just coolly commented, "It was not bad." Now that the monster's formidable leader had been eliminated, the morale of the other security officials was massively boosted, and they began to wipe out all of the remaining monsters. Darius asked Ningfeng if he needed him to do anything else, to which Ningfeng just replied with a simple thumbs up, saying his work here was done and that it was great. The people who saw them wondered, why was such a formidable fighter showing so much profound respect to that young man? They speculated that Ning might just be some rich guy's son, and that Darius was merely his highly paid bodyguard. Now, Darius took out the loot he had gotten from defeating the High Demon, and respectfully presented it to Ningfeng. The other people began to hope they might get those legendary orange-level items, and one girl was even ready to serve as a maid to Ningfeng. Among the orange items was an agility-based skill book, which Ningfeng thought would be a perfect gift for Wang Yu, and the other valuable item was the dark shield, which he could just easily sell for a large sum of money later. After that, a security official in knight armor approached Darius and Ningfeng, asking if they could have a brief word with them. They took Ningfeng and Darius to meet their esteemed boss, the mayor of Longbow City, because the mayor wanted to personally thank them for saving their city. The mayor introduced himself formally as Marcus Drake, and asked the two of them if they were not from around here. Ningfeng replied that he had just come here for some business, but ended up getting stuck due to the citywide lockdown. He then asked the mayor with cold, piercing eyes why he was being held here for so long. The mayor humbly replied, "It couldn't be helped because of the highest alert security protocol," and sincerely apologized to him for their mistake. Ningfeng politely told him that there was absolutely no need to be sorry, because deep inside, he knew it was his own fault for triggering the barrier in the first place. Then, the mayor asked his men to bring him the flying scrolls, which he wanted to give to Ningfeng as a form of compensation. Ningfeng figured the flying scrolls were indeed a good item, and they were pretty rare to find, since they could only be used once. Then, the mayor requested of Ningfeng if he could possibly stay here in Longbow City for a few more days, since they might need some time to fully repair the barrier, and monsters might attack again during that vulnerable time. Ningfeng mentioned that his schedule was quite tight, so he would be unable to fulfill that specific request, as he wanted to get back quickly to complete his quest within the time limit. Ningfeng asked a bit strictly if the mayor thought he was so free, which made the mayor immediately reconsider his request. Just then, the scrolls arrived, and the mayor gave Ningfeng the flying scroll, along with a supreme black card that works in any trading company. Ningfeng recalled that the supreme black card was basically the ultimate proof of him being a VIP, and it was given to only a select few powerful individuals. He figured, the mayor must hold a very high reputation in the trading company. So with that, he accepted the valuable items, and the mayor was immensely glad his sentiments were understood. Otherwise, he might be blamed for losing the favorability of such strong individuals. The mayor then asked Ningfeng if he could expect to seek help from them in the near future, and Ningfeng replied that it wouldn't be a problem. As long as he has the time, he will certainly help. The mayor and the others were extremely happy to hear that, since this meant their city would now be safe in the future. Now, Ningfeng and Darius used the flying scrolls to fly up into the air, traveling at high speeds to return back to their city. Meanwhile, back at the transformation hall, Wang Yu's party was eagerly waiting for her to emerge with her second transformation quest. She soon came out along with Zhao Cheng, and suddenly, Wang Yu noticed someone coming with the help of the flying scrolls. Zhao Cheng asked her what was wrong, and she replied that among those two people, she thought she had just seen Ningfeng as well. Zhao Cheng scoffed, asking if she was really sure about that, since the flying scrolls cost thousands and thousands of crystals, and they might be way too much to afford for a poor guy like Ningfeng. And other than that, it was also not possible for a just awakened guy to come to the job transfer hall. Wang Yu was completely pissed off, and she coldly warned Zhao Cheng, "Do not dare say anything bad about Ningfeng ever again. Otherwise, I will make you deeply regret it." Zhao Cheng hated being spoken to like that, and he wondered why she always brought up that worthless, pathetic loser. The cleric stepped to the front and asked Wang Yu and Zhao Cheng how their second transformation quests had gone. Zhao Cheng replied that he ended up getting a great A-rank quest, and unfortunately he didn't manage to get an S-rank one. The others tried to cheer him up, saying it was truly awesome, enough to complete his second transformation at the mere age of 18, and he would be counted in the supernova list by all the top universities. The cleric then asked Wang Yu next, and for some strange reason Wang Yu kept quiet for a moment. Her telling silence made the others extremely curious, and they thought maybe she had ended up getting a quest below a C grade. Zhao Cheng thought she wouldn't always be a genius, after all, and if she did indeed get a low-rank quest, then he could try to look nice in her eyes by attempting to comfort her during this time. But to his utter surprise, Wang Yu replied, "Why would I possibly need to be comforted when I actually received an S-rank quest?" Everyone was completely stunned by this news, as getting an S-rank quest was an extremely rare occurrence. However, the reason why Wang Yu seemed a bit distressed was because her quest was actually rewarding her with a hidden class, one she had never even seen before. Zhao Cheng questioned how one's class could change to a hidden class when the classes were already determined at the time of one's awakening. Wang Yu knew that as well, but when she went for her second transformation, she was faced with the chance to undergo a hidden class change, from Swift Archer to the Vanguard Shadow. It was all possible because of the Vanguard emblem she had consumed before, and Wang Yu was also contemplating this unexpected, incredible change. She recalled that the emblem given to her by Ningfeng had turned out to be so much more than just a simple item, and she wondered if the confidence with which Ningfeng gave it to her meant that he already knew something like this would happen. She had chosen to advance to the hidden class, and after telling the whole process to her teammates, the cleric asked her how she could possibly take such a big decision so quickly. Zhao Cheng, on the other hand, believed that this might be a fault in the job change system, and told her not to make such a decision so hastily, as it could completely ruin her entire life. Wang Yu realized that he was just unhappy with her immense development, so she made it clear that he should mind his own business. The others, on the other hand, were truly happy for her, and the cleric wished she could have a friend as amazing as Ningfeng. Zhao Cheng grew intensely jealous of her, and he wanted to get one of those emblems for himself no matter what. Meanwhile, Ningfeng was currently looking at the divine emblem, which provided a permanent +5 points to both stamina and spirit. He consumed this powerful emblem to complete his S-rank quest, and after absorbing it, Ningfeng witnessed the process of his very first transformation. He received a new passive skill, precise manipulation of forbidden spells, which allowed him to control the power of darkness with significant precision. Meanwhile, Darius was waiting in the back, and at the same time, Kuang Lan came and saw Darius, recognizing him as the same fighter she had met once before. She wondered why Darius was here, as if he was personally guarding Ningfeng. Kuang Lan had investigated Darius previously, and had learned that he was quite insanely talented to have reached a 4th transformation at his young age. He was basically a true genius, even on a national level. However, she couldn't make sense of what she had heard from the staff at this place, stating that when Darius had entered here, he was always one step behind Ningfeng, and was maintaining a very respectful attitude towards him. Kwang Lon informed Teacher Kai of one thing for certain, that her student, Ningfang, was definitely not a simple person, and she left the rest up to her to confirm it. As Ningfang arrived back from his first transformation, Teacher Kai's belief in her student didn't waver in the slightest, being completely sure that he would never become their enemy. Ningfang was casually leaving the place while talking to Darius, when he was called out by Teacher Kai. Ningfang didn't expect to see her here at all, and he recalled that she had something she wanted to talk to him about. At the same time, Darius called Ningfang boss and said he would respect his privacy and just wait over there. Ningfang's face immediately turned pale, and he quickly explained to Teacher Kai that the guy was just joking around. Then Teacher Kai asked Ningfang if he had already completed his first transformation. Ningfang was taken aback by this sudden revelation, and he remained silent for a moment, thinking about what he should possibly reply now. But since Teacher Kai had always taken such good care of him, he knew that he could trust her completely. So, Ningfang came out honest, stating that he did, in fact, complete his first transformation, and he didn't exactly want to explain too much to anyone else, since it was all very complicated. Teacher Kai had to ask him something else. Then, if he was influenced by the power of darkness. Ningfang asked her why she was questioning that, since it meant she might know something about his mysterious system. Teacher Kai stated there had been many anomalies in the world, including numerous secret realm invasions, which had also affected many people with the power of darkness, transforming them into powerful mutants. Ningfang just replied that he was not a mutant in that case, as he recalled that mutants were closely monitored by the authorities, so he didn't want to be involved with them in any way possible. Teacher Kai asked him if he could cooperate for just one more thing, as she took out a mysterious piece of black rock. She asked him to inject his magic power into these crystals, as it would display the power of darkness residing inside him. Ningfang's face broke out in a sweat of pure tension, and his hesitation made Teacher Kai begin to suspect him. Ningfang just claimed to be a little bit nervous, and tried to inject a small amount of dark power into that stone. Suddenly, the dark rock exploded into 1,000 pieces, and Ningfang knew the exact reason for it. Very well. Teacher Kai, on the other hand, was completely shocked by this violent reaction. Ningfang asked her what was going on, and Teacher Kai recalled this rock was actually a demon crystal, which was very sensitive to the overwhelming power of darkness, so it was often used to detect mutants. When the crystal was injected with any dark power, it would shake, and the more intense the shaking, the higher the amount of dark power one possessed. But Teacher Kai didn't know exactly what it meant, if the rock just completely exploded like that. As Teacher Kai and Ningfang both looked at the shattered demon crystal in confusion, Ningfang told her it might be a bit unbelievable to change his profession right after his awakening, but he wanted to know if she could truly trust him as a person, since they had known each other for so very long. Teacher Kai knew Ningfeng had lost his parents at a very young age, and he had also awakened much later than the others, so it was already remarkable of him to maintain such an optimistic and a positive nature. She affirmed that she trusted him, but it was her sworn duty to report these events further. She asked him for his understanding, and Ningfeng understood it well. However, he couldn't imagine how the officials would respond, and he might even have to leave Chandra City, in the absolute worst-case scenario. After that, Teacher Kai took out an item and said it was something she wanted to give him to congratulate him on his first transformation. It was a purple-level spell book, and Ningfeng accepted it happily. He thanked Teacher Kai for taking care of him all these long years, and he also had prepared a special gift for her. Ningfeng presented her with an orange-level item, the Holy Wings Belt, which boosted one's spirit power by a massive 20, recovered stamina and healing powers by 50%, and even provided a 100% dark power resistance. It also had a special feature to allow the user to cast healing spells, with no chanting whatsoever. Teacher Kai was completely amazed by receiving an orange item just like that, and that the no-chant effect could save lives at the most crucial moments. She told him she couldn't possibly accept something this incredibly precious, but Ningfeng simply replied it was just the reward from his first transformation, so he truly wanted to give it to her. After just handing it over to her, Ningfeng mentioned his friends were waiting, so he took his leave, looking incredibly cool as Teacher Kai saw him leave with Darius. She tried to process how Ningfeng just had an orange item like that, making him seem even more mysterious. Later, at the adventurer's office, She went to report what had happened to Kwang Lon, and she had never seen such a situation with the demon crystal shattering like that before. Kwang Lon wondered what if the Lone Shadow organization ends up considering Ning Fong a threat. It would most likely make him their next target. Kwang Lon just decided to leave it at that, because Ning Fong was completely out of their understanding. So it was abundantly clear that if he was indeed a strong person, then they should be doing everything in their power to win him over, rather than angering him by digging far too deep. She suspended the entire investigation on Ning Fong and ordered all the information related to him to be strictly sealed. Teacher Kai agreed to this proposition made by Kwang Lon, since she wanted to protect him. Now, Kwang Lon shifted her focus over to Darius and considered that they should try recruiting him. Meanwhile, back at Ning Fong's house, Darius asked him why he seemed a little bit unhappy. Ning Fong replied that he had gotten to hear from his teacher that the investigation on him had been completely cancelled. Darius asked if that wasn't a good thing. But Ning Fong was actually worried about leveling up in the future, because now, every time he ends up destroying a secret realm, he'll be found out almost right away. He figured this was going to cause a lot of trouble for him later on by the authorities. Darius admired how Ning Fong was so casually worrying about something, like destroying a secret realm. Every single time, Darius wouldn't have believed it was true if he hadn't seen it for himself. Darius suggested the boss could try leveling up in the unregistered secret realms, as there had been a discovery of way too many secret realms recently, and some of them were not managed by the authorities due to a lack of available resources. Ning Fong figured it was worth a try, and asked Darius if he had gotten any information on them. Darius had gotten information on 2 unregistered secret realms for now, and if the boss needed him to, he could gather more information. Ning Fong decided to rely on him for that, and he started to see just how convenient it was to have Darius handle all these things. Now, Ning Fong planned to go to the trading post to sell his loot, after which he was planning to take a well-deserved break for a while. He wasn't worried at all about falling behind, since every single skill of his was already at a forbidden level. Meanwhile, Darius went to a large hotel to stay the night, and he planned on finding a new place to rent very soon. It was then he was greeted by a man in a black suit, and upon asking for his identity, the man introduced himself as John G., the mayor of Chandor City, and he had come after hearing of how Darius had helped out during the secret realm invasion from before. He asked Darius if he had any plans to settle down here in Chandor City, to which Darius replied that he does, in fact, plan on staying here. John G. was glad to hear that, and he warmly welcomed Darius with a special adventurer privilege card. Darius was promised to be provided with whatever he requires, and he accepted the card. John G. had heard that other cities previously tried to recruit him, but they had all been rejected. He hoped Chandor wouldn't be looked down upon as just a small place. Now, Darius accepted the mayor's kind gesture, and they shook hands for their cooperation in the future. Darius figured these special privileges might be helpful for his boss in the near future, so he should definitely keep it. Meanwhile, the mayor was just happy to have a 4th transformation expert in their city to make it much safer. Now, the mayor asked Darius if he was looking for a place to stay, in which case, he'll arrange one for him right away. Meanwhile, our boy was playing League, and he had just won another match. He then saw that it had gotten quite late. He was about to sleep when he saw his class group was still chatting away. At this late time, the students from his class were all talking about their levels, and everyone was still trying desperately to reach level 30 before the college entrance exams. Ning Fong then read some students texting about, referring to him as a lazy guy who was just playing games. Even now, Ning Fong didn't like being stalked by these so-called admirers of Wang Yu, who were just jealous of him. Then he saw that teacher Kai had retracted the mocking text from the group chat. Ning Fong laughed as he saw those guys being put in their place. Just then, he saw the news of secret realm invasions in other cities. The students discussed that some cities seemed to have fallen to the monsters already, and then someone mentioned that their city had also been targeted recently, but someone happened to have repelled the attack. The students felt safer with some mysterious, strong guy in their city, and they wished to respect this savior like a wise elder. Ning Fong felt a bit let down from that last comment. Then he recalled how the monsters just ran away in terror last time, when he had encountered an invasion. At the very same time, the demon lord sneezed back at his secret place, and for some reason, he started feeling scared for some unknown reason. The next day, at the trading post, Yang Xian was still attending to her work, even though she had bandages from her last accident's injuries. The purple witch tried to tease her for coming to work with injuries, just to climb up the ranks much faster. Yang Xian refused, saying it wasn't like that at all. But then the purple head told her that Yang Xian's precious customer, Ningfang, had actually turned out to be a common thief, who had stolen from a fourth transformation adventurer. She guessed that he might already be in deep trouble by now. But Yang Xian staunchly defended our boy, claiming he wasn't the type of guy who could ever steal. The purple head started mentioning how Ningfang was just a trashy guy, who had awakened late with only a one-star profession. And since he didn't even have any parents, he might not even know that stealing was a bad thing. She then added that the fact that a fourth transformation guy came over to investigate a trash guy like him only proves that he was, in fact, a thief. Suddenly, a mysterious piece of rock emerged from the left side of the purple-headed witch, appearing out of nowhere. And the source turned out to be none other than our boy, Ningfeng. He coldly warned her not to say something that would make him lose his temper. The purple head didn't expect him to be safe and was completely surprised. She then accused him of using offensive spells within the trading post, and started calling the guards to come and handle him. Yang Xian told him to quickly escape before the guards arrived, but Ningfeng assured her not to worry about it. She was worried for him, and soon the guards really did arrive, along with the manager, Winston. Winston was offended by Ningfeng acting so reckless within their building. But Ningfeng was also extremely pissed off because he had learned of Winston carrying out a secret investigation behind his back, and even attempting to frame him as a common thief. Winston said that being a thief or not was a talk for later, but for now he commanded the guards to send him outside. Ningfeng then took out the black card and asked if this was how they treated their esteemed guest. The guards immediately halted on their way, and Winston and the purple witch were both shocked to see a supreme black card in Ningfeng's possession. They thought it must surely be a fake. Ningfeng mentioned he had gotten it as a gift from Mayor Drake. Winston questioned how he could have gotten it for real, and Ningfeng just told him to investigate it for himself, if he truly wanted to confirm it. The purple head asked her boss what they should do now, and Winston told the guards to keep a close eye on Ningfeng, while he made a quick call to inquire about it. The trading post was closed by the guards for the time being, until this entire situation could be resolved. Meanwhile, Mayor Drake asked Winston what was going on, as he had heard about Winston investigating Mr. Ningfeng. Winston's face immediately turned completely blue, as he noticed the mayor seemed to personally know Ningfeng, and he excused himself, saying it was just a small misunderstanding. Winston recalled that Mayor Drake's own father was one of the founders of the trading post, so it was a given that he would respect Mayor Drake so as not to risk his job. But Mayor Drake was pissed off, as he doubted something was very wrong, and shouted at Winston if he had offended Ningfeng by any chance. Winston lied that he couldn't possibly do that, but the mayor was already sure of it. Now he slammed his fist on the desk and announced he would be there at the trading post right away. Winston was left completely dead inside, as he couldn't figure out why the mayor was so incredibly angry. Just because Ningfeng was involved, he decided to call Darius, as he figured that the fourth transformation powerhouse would definitely save Winston's face in front of the mayor. Meanwhile, Ningfeng was passing the time in the waiting area, and soon Mayor Drake and Darius came running to see Ningfeng. Ningfeng asked them why they were both here, while Yang Xian was completely puzzled to see them. Apparently, they could tell the mayor and Darius were pissed off at the purple head, making her scared, as if she had done something terribly wrong. She then saw the manager coming out with a completely dead expression, and when she asked him what had happened, Winston claimed it was all completely over. Now the mayor asked Ningfeng if he really didn't want that manager to apologize. He nodded that there was no need, as he didn't think he's the kind of person who would repent by just simply apologizing. The mayor then ordered to fire the manager, Winston, and his agent, after which the manager was really pissed off, and he hit the purple-headed witch for completely ruining him. Mayor Drake was feeling ashamed for this happening in front of Ningfeng, and he ordered the guards to get them out. After that, Ningfeng was taken to the luxurious VIP lounge, where he sat down with Darius and the mayor for some tea. The mayor noticed Ningfeng seemed to have a good impression of Yang Xian, and thanks to her, the entire trading post's reputation was saved. Meanwhile, Yang Xian was observing how incredibly cool Ningfeng was, even while talking to such powerful big shots. The mayor gave Yang Xian a heads up for being so diligent in her work, and she promised to work hard in the future as well. Ningfeng apologized to the mayor for taking up his valuable time, but the mayor claimed it was fine, and that Ningfeng's matters were his. The mayor then asked if Ningfeng was interested in buying anything from the catalog, and Ningfeng mentioned he was trying to see if they had heard of something called the Relic of the End. Both the mayor and Darius were completely confused, as they had heard of it for the very first time. But Ningfeng just excused it, saying it was nothing but something he had read on the internet. Later, he returned to his home and began consuming the skill book, given to him by teacher Kai. It held the skill to replenish mana in battle temporarily. Ningfeng was curious what kind of forbidden spell it would turn into, and after learning it, it turned into a spell that allowed him to absorb dark power from items. Ningfeng, left with his understanding of the item, surrendered to the night. The next day, Mayor Drake bid farewell to him, and used the flying scroll to fly back to his own Longbow City. Ningfeng wanted to eat something now, so Darius suggested he eat at his place. Darius guided Ningfeng to his massive villa, which was as luxurious as it gets, with all the things one could ever want. A big house with cozy, top-notch furniture. Darius suggested Ningfeng could shift with him if he wanted, as he could just find another place for himself instead. If the boss liked it here,
Ningfeng responded,
he'll save up and own a place for himself later in Darius's neighborhood. Instead, Darius asked if the boss needed any money. He would happily give him as much as he wanted. But Ningfeng didn't need his money, since he himself had gotten a fair amount of crystal coins from selling equipment lately, and now he just has to convert it all into cash, and he'll have more than enough to buy a villa if he so desires. Although, he didn't want to spend most of the money he had all at once, and it could certainly wait. After some tea, Ningfeng was feeling refreshed, and Darius told him the chefs would be arriving soon. Darius's phone then rang, and he asked the mayor on the other end what was up. It was the mayor of Zhang, and he needed some help from Darius. He mentioned that recently, a team had been sent from above to investigate the several disasters in their city, so they needed some cooperation from Darius. Darius looked at Ningfeng's confused face and thought this investigation might end up affecting his boss. So he replied to the mayor that he wasn't free today, as he wanted to talk to Ningfeng about it first. Mayor Zhang told him, okay, and asked him to let him know when he had the time. Darius discussed it all with Ningfeng, and Ning wondered what kind of people these investigation people were. Meanwhile, one of the guys from this very investigation team seemed to be dead serious on checking out if this joke of some mysterious boss in the city was actually true or not. In the meeting of the investigation team, the same man asked Kuang Lan if she had seen this mysterious boss. She denied that she had not, and the man stated how there were so many rumors out there. Kuang Lan stated it was because the terrifying invasion of monsters, including the traitorous mutants who assisted them, were both single-handedly dealt with by that very boss. The owl-eyed man scoffed, refusing to accept that as evidence of this boss's existence. Instead, he demanded to know what this so-called mysterious boss had done. When all the other places were being viciously attacked, a heavy silence fell as Kuang Lan said nothing. Teacher Kai knew in that moment she was fiercely protecting Ningfeng. It was then that Mayor Zhang Ji suddenly arrived and announced that Darius was occupied and would not be attending the meeting today. The owl-eyed man was infuriated that some mere adventurer was just doing whatever he pleased. He declared he couldn't wait any longer now, so he would take full, authoritative charge of this entire investigation, while the rest of them could go on about their other trivial work. Later, at the dungeon known as the Elway Tomb, the arrogant owl-eyed man, Jack, arrived to conduct his own investigation, but he was immediately stopped by the guards there for safety reasons. Jack condescendingly told them he was from the high-level investigation team, and he would like to investigate inside that very dungeon over there. They let him pass, and Jack entered the Elway Tomb just like that, only to arrive in the same forsaken dungeon of the undead that had been utterly annihilated by Ningfeng. At first, Jack was completely amazed by the sight of overwhelming destruction all around the area. He couldn't possibly comprehend what kind of power could destroy a whole dungeon so completely and thoroughly. He could sense that even the dark energy remnants were still pure and incredibly powerful, and no matter what the others might say, He didn't think this existence could be a mere human or even a mutant. Jack was intensely enticed by all of the dark energy, but when he greedily tried to absorb a little of it, suddenly, a terrifying monster emerged from a dark, gaping hole. Jack didn't expect this desolate area to be filled with so many incredibly powerful monsters, and he planned on killing and absorbing their dark energy for himself. Meanwhile, back at Darius's luxurious house, Ningfeng was casually playing his games, when suddenly he received an alert that the final relic had been found. Ningfeng didn't know the system could even contact him like this, and when he tried to concentrate, he could pinpoint the exact location of this mysterious final relic. Ningfeng immediately got ready to leave to check this out. Right away, Darius saw him and asked where he was going, to which he nonchalantly replied that he was just heading out for a little bit. He asked Darius to continue the game for him, and to try not to lose any of their rank points. Ningfeng took a cab to the nearest spot, to the location his powerful senses were telling him of. But then he noticed that something seemed to be on the move. Meanwhile, at the dungeon he was currently heading towards, the guards suddenly encountered a monster that had emerged out of thin air from the dungeon gate. They couldn't understand just what that thing was, as this horrifying monster had the face of Jack on its top center. Jack was desperately calling out for help, requesting anybody to get him out of this. On Ningfeng's side, he encountered a path that was blocked by the security officials, as they alerted everyone of the imminent danger that lay ahead. Ningfeng just got off right here and decided to follow that thing on foot. From here, he noticed it seemed to have stopped at one specific place for now. Meanwhile, Jack and the monster, or rather, the monster with the trap Jack, was causing massive destruction around the place, while Jack requested somebody for help over and over again. Soon, the elite members of the Lone Shadow, including the formidable Kuang Lan, arrived, and they were just as bewildered at the horrifying sight, wondering what in the world was going on. A fierce, desperate battle took place, and the scene shifts to Teacher Kai, using her potent healing magic on Kuang Lan, who had been grievously defeated by Jack. Kuang Lan only managed to survive this because Teacher Kai had the powerful equipment she had been given by Ningfeng. The moment Kuang Lan finally woke up, she demanded to know where the monster had gone, and Teacher Kai replied that it was headed straight towards the city. She then mentioned that the mayor, Zhang, had already called on Darius for his help, and it was now up to his timing to minimize the inevitable destruction. Kuang Lan thought that since Darius was almost as strong as her, he alone would not be a match for that horrifying monster, but she believed that the person standing behind him, Ningfeng, might be their one and only last hope. Now, meanwhile, the monstrous Jack was wreaking untold havoc wherever he was going, and Ningfeng didn't expect it to be a big, grotesque skull monster, with a smaller, human skull at the very top. Ningfeng wondered casually if this strange beast would require him to use a forbidden spell in order to defeat it. The monster attacked as soon as it had spotted Ningfeng, but our boy stayed perfectly in place, as he didn't feel the need to dodge this pitiful attack. The monster's attack was easily deflected by Ningfeng's powerful force shield, and it couldn't believe how there could possibly be such a powerful force field on a single person. At the very same time, Ningfeng received a new option if he wanted to absorb this entire skull monster, and since it seemed like the easy way out, he just chose to go along with it. Ningfeng suddenly felt some kind of a difference, as his body started to absorb the dark power from the skull monster. During that intense process, some strange memories flashed in Ningfeng's eyes, as if these were the very memories of someone else entirely. Ningfeng saw many terrifying things within these foreign memories, like the vast army of monsters with many powerful demon lords. At the end of it all, he received a new notification that all of his attributes had been increased by a staggering 100 points. Ningfeng was overjoyed at this significant boost to his attributes, but he recalled that something was a bit off about this entire process, as if he had absorbed more than just the dark energy, some kind of strange images or even memories. Right then, Darius arrived at the devastated location, his aid having been requested, and he found his boss there. He asked Ningfeng what had happened here, to which he calmly replied that he had just taken care of the monster. Jack had been left behind, since it was only the dark energy that had been absorbed by Ningfeng. Darius wondered if this guy was behind the entire monster invasion, and more confusingly than that, he couldn't sense any overwhelming power lingering around the area. It made him wonder how Ningfeng had taken care of this powerful monster without using any of his powerful magic spells. Now, Ningfeng just left the cleanup to Darius and simply ran off, incredibly fast, all by himself. Darius didn't know that Ningfeng could run that fast, as he had expected Ningfeng to be just a simple mage. Darius could now tell that this speed already surpassed most of the agility-based adventurers, which made him think even more highly of Ningfeng. Later, at the dark prison of Chandor City, Jack was being held in prison here, and was being questioned about the disaster that had been caused by him. He confessed that he was indeed the monster from back then, and apparently, he had become one when he found a mysterious demon in that dungeon. He had tried to take the dark energy of that monster for himself, but instead, he was completely devoured by that monster, which had later used him as its very own vessel. Kuang Lan now gets the gist of the entire situation, and apparently, from what Jack could remember, he had been dealt with by the mysterious, powerful boss. Mayor Zhang was extremely excited, as this proved just how safe their city was because of this mysterious boss. And Kuang Lan and Teacher Kai both smiled, knowing it was more or less true. Afterwards, the mayor asked Darius if he had seen that mysterious boss, to which Darius replied that he was indeed fortunate enough to have seen him. His reply got Teacher Kai and Kuang Lan on high alert, as they thought Darius might accidentally reveal Ningfeng's true identity. The mayor then requested to be introduced to this mysterious boss, so he could properly reward them, and make sure they would live permanently in Chandor City. Darius replied that the boss didn't like getting attention, so the mayor should just give up on this idea. Darius had already talked this out with Ningfeng from before, that they would keep this notion of a mysterious boss wandering around, since no one could prove anything without any concrete evidence. The mayor was a bit dejected, as he believed that many people must be trying to curry favor with powerful people, like this mysterious boss right now. Darius assured the mayor that, since the mysterious boss has relatives in this city, he will take special care of this place for sure in the future, so the mayor doesn't have to worry about it, and just make sure not to disturb him. When Kuang Lan and the teacher heard the statements made by Darius, they wondered if this mysterious boss was actually not Ningfeng, but one of his elder, powerful relatives. Meanwhile, Ningfeng was back in his apartment, simply taking a bath, while trying to understand more about these so-called final relics. Apparently, he had deduced these were the remains left behind by the dead demon lords, and the strange images that had appeared in his mind before were actually the fragments of them. He didn't intend to become a demon lord himself, so he tried to think of what use these memories were to him. Right then, Ningfeng happened to think these memories might be useful, because if he's right, these secret realm invasions will keep happening, and eventually bring about the end of the world in the future. And currently, he didn't think there were many people, like fourth transformation adventurers, who could fight off all of these monsters in every single location. He figured if this keeps up, humanity will eventually be forced to throw in the towel, so he needs to be able to do something more than just to protect himself, since he doesn't want to live in a world that is full of monsters. Ningfeng then recalled there were ways to repel these very invasions shown in those memories, so he planned on carefully using them to strengthen the trustworthy individuals who will fight to save all of humanity. He knew the dangers if someone untrustworthy were to become strong, as it may lead to unforeseen and dire circumstances. At the very same time, Ningfeng received a call from his childhood friend, Wang Yu, and when he asked her what was up, she replied that she had finally completed her S-rank quest, and her class had now transformed to the powerful Shadow Vanguard. She planned to treat Ningfeng on this special occasion, and told him that he absolutely must come. Ningfeng agreed to come to the treat without even thinking of missing it. Wang Yu then sent him the location for the celebratory treat, after which she exited the job change hall. There, she saw her party members standing there to congratulate Wang Yu on her successful second transformation. Even Zhao Cheng was praising her for reaching her second transformation at such a young and tender age. But being the asshole that he was, he told her to come and celebrate, as he had already reserved a private room in the best restaurant in the entire city. But Wang Yu claimed to have other plans tonight. She told them to go and have fun tonight, and she would host another party for them tomorrow. Zhao Cheng asked if she couldn't just postpone anything else, since it was such an important celebration. But Wang Yu just kept on walking straight ahead, as she could feel the intense envy from Zhao Cheng's every word. Zhao Cheng was infuriated to see that she was already acting like a complete stranger. After her second transformation, the cleric stated she wasn't that kind of person, and she must have something truly important for real. Zhao Cheng then questioned the others if they weren't all exhausted from trying to keep up with her progress, as she had not only completed the legendary S-rank quest, but she had also awakened a new, powerful hidden profession. Zhao Cheng made the others think if this keeps up, she will completely leave them all behind one day. Later in the evening, Ning Feng was being treated with an exquisite dish, and he teased Wang Yu, saying he could only have such fine delicacies by following her around. Wang Yu then thanked him, as it was mostly because of the powerful emblem he had given her.
Ning Feng
Just now learned that the emblem had awakened a hidden class for her, which could play a crucial and vital role in the coming war that he had seen in those horrific memories. Ning Feng thought that those emblems could be one of the ways to enhance the strength of the people. Wang Yu then asked him if he knew where those emblems could be found, to which he replied that he wasn't exactly sure of that. Wang Yu wished she could get some of those emblems to give to Ning Feng and her party. Ning Feng liked this considerate part of hers, as she always included him in everything. Good. Wang Yu just claimed she'll figure out the emblem situation, while she wanted Ning Feng not to give up on his own leveling up. She also wanted to find some self-protection ability for him, since it was so very dangerous outside these days. Ning Feng teased her that it was too troublesome to level up on his own, so he would just have to take her along to protect him. Wang Yu was startled by his smirk and his unusual lazy attitude while she was being so serious here. Suddenly, her expression grew painful, and Ning Feng asked her what had happened. She replied that it was nothing, but she had just gotten a little injured while completing her mission. Ning Feng asked why she didn't get it properly treated. She replied that she did, in fact, get it treated, but still, since it was an S-rank mission, the damage from the boss monster was not low, and she would need some time to fully recover. Ning Feng didn't know that S-rank missions were this difficult for others. Then his phone rang, and when he picked it up, someone on the phone asked Ning Feng in a harsh, demanding tone about where he had gotten that powerful emblem. Ning Feng just hung up, but Wang Yu asked him what the matter was. Ning Feng told her that some guy with a very harsh tone had just asked him where he got the emblem from. Wang Yu could swear she hadn't told that to anyone on the outside, but Ning Feng didn't care and said they should just simply eat. Ning Feng got called again, and when he picked up, the same man shouted at him not to dare hang up on him ever again, or he would surely pay for it. Ning Feng didn't like that guy being so loud with Wang Yu nearby, so he just hung up on him again. After their dinner, he had enjoyed himself, and Wang Yu asked him if he needed her to walk him safely home. Ning told her not to worry, since it was just a harassing call, and with that, he bid her farewell for the day. Later on in the night, Ning Feng arrived at his apartment, and as he entered the room, all lazy, with his guard completely down, he was completely astonished by the messed-up scene of his room. Then, a guy in an adventurer's armor came out, saying, "Finally, Ning Feng, you are here." Ning Feng asked the man if he was the one who had called him, to which the blonde assassin coldly agreed, and said he was here to punish Ning Feng for not answering him honestly. Ning Feng asked the man who had sent him here, but the blonde assassin just called Ning a piece of trash and said he should show some proper manners to the strong ones. Another assassin attacked out of nowhere, lunging at Ning Feng, but to his utter surprise, Ning Feng just dodged it effortlessly, and threw a sharp elbow jab to the assassin's face. The assassin's weapon dropped, and he was dealt with in just one single hit. The blonde assassin now feared for his very life after seeing what had just happened, while our boy returned the blonde's own line back to him, to show proper respect to the strong ones. The blonde was absolutely terrified, as he had only heard the target was a one-star professional adventurer, and that too a mage, so he doubted it was just not at all possible for Ning Feng to have defeated a 3-star assassin completely barehanded. The blonde was about to throw a deadly shuriken, while Ning Feng was still getting accustomed to his newly increased speed and lightning-fast reaction. Now, he could handle many situations without even using any of his spells. Ning Feng dodged the incoming shuriken by moving his head just to the right, and the blonde was so scared that he desperately tried to escape, since the situation wasn't at all good for him. But when he thought the window was just right there, and that he could make it out safely, Ning Feng caught his leg, and caused the blonde assassin to hit his face hard into the wall. Ning Fong told the man to clean up the entire mess he had caused, and not just that, but also to compensate for all the broken stuff. The assassins surrendered everything they had to Ning Fong, after which Ning Fong asked them who had sent them. The blonde replied it was Zhao Cheng who had sent him here, and apparently he wanted something like a unique emblem that couldn't be found anywhere other than from Ning Fong. Ning Fong remembered Zhao Cheng from Wang Yu's party, and now, since that guy was the first one to make his move against Ning Fong planned on getting back at him. He had just the right forbidden skill that he hadn't used yet. Surmounting, Fong was about to use the skill, Mind Disruption, that allows him to control the target's mind and make them act like his very own clone. Ning Fong used this powerful skill on those very assassins, and took complete control over their minds. Meanwhile, Zhao Cheng was waiting for those assassins to come to the rendezvous point, and since it was taking so very long, he figured they should go elsewhere to have some fun. One of the party members then asked Zhao Cheng, "What about the emblem search?" To which he replied that he had sent someone to find Ning Fong, and if Ning Fong didn't cooperate, he would experience a very painful death. The other guy then asked him, "What if Wang Yu found out about this?" Zhao Cheng didn't care about that, and he very much preferred she would stop wasting her time on trash, like Ning Fong. The other guy agreed and mentioned how during Wang Yu's S-rank quest, he and Zhao Cheng had intentionally let Wang Yu be hurt by the boss, to remind her just how much she needed them to protect her. Zhao Cheng ultimately thought, she'll get back to her senses after the injury, but she was more reckless than he had thought. At the very same time, both of them were startled by a dark shadow appearing before them. Zhao Cheng saw it was the assassin he had hired, and asked him if he had gotten any information, but unexpectedly, the assassin asked Zhao Cheng if he had heard right about him causing Wang Yu's injury. Zhao Cheng and the other guy were surprised to hear that, and he warned the assassin not to interfere in his personal affairs. But without any warning, the assassin, now controlled by Ning Fong, launched fatal strikes at both of them, then raised them up by the neck. Ning Fong made it crystal clear that anyone who harms Wang Yu does not deserve to live in this world, so he would make sure they die a very painful death. Ning Fong inflicted both of them with painfully enormous amounts of dark energy, and he made them experience a much more painful death than any normal adventurer would have. After they had perished to mere ashes, Ning Fong did the exact same with the assassin's body, and made sure not to leave any single piece of evidence behind. However, after this entire incident, he figured it was really dangerous for him to be living in an ordinary neighborhood, where anyone could just come and target him. Ning Fong didn't mean to be scared of anyone, but still, he can't stay at home all the time and his stuff might not be safe. Ning Fong was currently planning on organizing some very important things, based on the memories of the powerful demon lord, and it was fortunate that he hadn't started on them yet. Otherwise, in this incident it might have all been exposed. Ning Fong decided to move to Darius's place, since it would be absolutely perfect, as nobody would dare to barge in to the house of a fourth transformation powerhouse. He went to Darius and told him about what had just happened, and Darius was absolutely bursting with anger. After hearing that someone had dared to attack his precious boss, he told Ning Fong to just rest, while he would make sure there wouldn't be anyone else left to cause any trouble for him again. Ning Fong told him there was no need to hurry, and that he had something else to ask of him. He asked Darius if he knew of any reliable alchemist. Darius asked what requirements this alchemist should have. Ning Fong replied that the higher the skill level, the better it would be, but it should be a completely trustworthy person. Darius mentioned he did know of many different alchemists, but they had already joined the large guilds, which, according to Ning Fong, wouldn't be very suitable for keeping his secrets. As he was planning and sharing, Ning Fong recalled from the memories he had absorbed that the demon lord had once killed some high-level alchemists, and the potions brewed by those alchemists of the future were much more advanced than the current worlds. Ning Fong could recall the exact prescriptions from his memories, and planned to discuss it with a professional. However, alchemists in large guilds were not free to act, and the risk of information leaks was much higher, which would only attract more bugs like from before. Ning Fong didn't want to attract any more troublemakers, so he just told Darius to keep an eye out for a suitable alchemist that would meet his criteria. The next day, he asked Wang Yu about it, and she replied that she did know of a reliable alchemist. Ning Fong didn't expect to find someone so quickly, and Wang Yu stated that the cleric of her own team, Su Ting, had a brother who was a very good alchemist, and was even planning to join Wang Yu's guild. But it didn't work out because he didn't get along with Zhao Cheng. Ning Fong felt a bit relaxed after taking care of a major issue for Wang Yu by killing that despicable bastard, and now she wouldn't be troubled in the future. Wang Yu then asked him why he needed an alchemist, to which he replied that he had just found some prescriptions at home, and wanted someone to help him take a look at them. Wang Yu obviously didn't believe this home excuse again, while Ning Fong just said he did come across one while he was cleaning. Either way, she arranged a meeting with that alchemist for Ning Fong. Later, Ning Fong went to that alchemist's home and introduced himself. The alchemist introduced himself as Su Wei, and he wanted to take a look at Ning Feng's special prescription. Meanwhile, out in the house's garden, the cleric, Su Ting, was mad because she wanted to get closer to Ning Fong, but her older brother had kicked her out. At the very same time, Ning Fong was getting the prescription checked and Su Wei assessed. The ingredients didn't look that particularly special, but the refining method was completely new to him, and it seemed quite complex as well. Su Wei asked Ning Fong if he knew what this powerful potion does, to which Ning Fong replied, it was said to increase the experience gained by a full 100%. Su Wei was completely shocked to hear that, because even the most expensive potions on the market only provide a 40% increase in experience. And if this potion really did increase it by 100%, even 1- or 2-star professionals would be able to level up incredibly quickly. Ning Fong just nodded vaguely and said that was why he had come to consult with him.
Su Wei
asked him to wait while he went upstairs and conducted an experiment. Before that, he asked Su Ting to come back inside and serve tea to their special guest. After that, Ning Fong was sitting with Su Ting and Wang Yu when suddenly, he heard loud noises coming from Su Wei's room upstairs. The three of them wondered what had happened up above, and Su Ting decided to go up and check. She came across the sight of a slime that her brother uses for experiments, and it seemed to be running for its very life. Right then, the slime was killed by some unknown spell, and the three of them were confused about what was going on. When they finally entered the room, they saw Su Wei jumping around happily like a completely crazy man, and he said, the potion really worked. It had a 100% increase in experience. His excitement puzzled the girls, since they didn't know what he meant. While Su Wei explained to Ning Fong that his potion had really worked, Ning Fong was happy on the inside, as it meant if this potion had worked, then the other ones from his memory would surely work as well. Su Wei shot a couple more fireballs to kill the slimes, and Su Ting was surprised at the complete mess in his lab, since her brother usually treasures his lab so very much, even though she wasn't ever allowed to come in here. After that, Su Wei explained the whole thing to the girls, and they couldn't believe the outcome of this potion was really 100%. Ning Fong smiled to see their expected reaction, whereas Su Wei told them all to keep their voices down, and to keep this a complete secret. Su Wei then asked Ning Fong what he was planning to do next, as he could make an unimaginable fortune by selling this, especially considering the dangerous times these days. Ning Fong thought deeply about this. Then, he got a message and decided to check. It was from Teacher Kai, announcing to the students that the school was planning to take all the senior students for leveling up. The students were eager to level up, since the college entrance exams were coming ever closer. Ning Fong was planning to start using the experience potion for his own people first, and then sell them after some time on the open market. Su Ting asked if she was also one of his own people, to which he nodded, which made her all happy and unable to sit idle. Ning Fong knew if this hit the open market, it would definitely cause a massive sensation, and those who seek huge profits will definitely come like flies, just like Zhao Cheng. So to deal with that situation, Ning Fong planned to have some powerful support first, anyone who dared to play any dirty tricks on him. Ning Fong added they could also bring along the berserker, Jiang Shu, from Wang Yu's party here, in which they were thrilled to share the news, since that guy was so worried he might not catch up enough to join the same university as Wang Yu and Su Ting. Ning Fong considered him because he was always nice to Wang Yu. Then the alchemist Su Wei asked Ning Fong, referring to him as boss, if he had gotten any other prescriptions. Ning Fong agreed and gave him the other prescriptions, and Su Wei mentioned, He hadn't even heard of the names of many of the ingredients listed in it, and as for some of them, he couldn't even make them at his current level. Ning Fong figured these prescriptions were from another world entirely, so just being able to use a few of them was already good enough. Wang Yu planned for them to go leveling up together, and of course, she asked our boy to make sure to be there as well. Ning Fong asked her why, and she just told him to come, no matter what, after which, everyone just went on talking about the level up mission like it was some kind of a trip. Ning Fong wished they could have asked for his own opinion first, but he had no other choice now. Now, on Monday, Ning Fong arrived at the meetup location right on time, and Wang Yu was coming with all the others. In the middle of that, a bus passed by on the road, and inside, there were some of Ning Fong's classmates, who were making fun of him for not showing up to the level up. Along with the others, they mocked him, saying that nobody would even want to go along with him in the first place. The bus just passed by, and Ning Fong didn't even care, since he already had his own secret plans for later. At the dungeon's entrance, many students from other schools had arrived as well, and the students with Teacher Kai saw just how many people were here. The students asked when they could finally go inside the gate, to which she replied it might take around 2 long hours. The students asked why they had to wait so long. Teacher Kai explained that they were in the second class, so they would have to wait for the first class to finish their turns. At the same time, one of the students saw Ning Fong up ahead, and they didn't expect to see him with the genius Wang Yu, along with other cool-looking, powerful adventurers. And not just that, but Ning Fong's party was also going inside the dungeon right away, as if they had this special privilege to not wait in the line. The students asked the reason behind it, to which Teacher Kai replied that Ning Fong seemed to be leading the entire guild, so they were probably heading straight to the very depths of the dungeon. The others were extremely jealous to see a guy like Ning Fong, who even a small monster could probably crush, was daring to go to the deeper parts of the Lion Guild, and the entitled genius goddess Wang Yu. Just then, someone asked him if he had just taken the name of Wang Yu, who was ranked 5th on the National Rising Stars list. The student confirmed it, and the bystander passed the group with his own party, claiming that they seemed to have come to the right place. The man, along with his flashy armor and strong-looking party, went straight to the gate, and they were allowed to enter right away as well. The student from Teacher Kai's group was pissed at another privileged party, just passing by like that. Then, a female student asked if he didn't recognize that party from just now. She mentioned that the party contained other rising stars, just like Wang Yu. Their members started with the 4th-ranked Aurelia Autumn, the 3rd-ranked Rick Lee, and lastly the 2nd-ranked rising star, Ethan, the powerful leader of that party. Later, deep inside the dungeon, Ning Feng's party was preparing, and Jiangshu was completely surprised when he saw the 100% experience bonus potion. Su Ting hit him to be quiet, and Jiangshu asked Su Wei if this potion wasn't very expensive. Su Wei replied it wasn't too expensive to make, and that was one more thing that made it so incredibly awesome. Could easily become a guest of honor in any top-tier guild with this potion. In that moment, Jiangshu officially joined Su Ting as one of Ning Fong's admirers, but our hero modestly asked them not to be so overly polite with him. Wang Yu was genuinely happy to see Ning Fong making some new friends, since he was never very good at socializing and had almost no other friends. She was truly happy for him, especially after everything he had been through, since failing his very first awakening back when he was 16. Wang Yu had been secretly worried for him from the sidelines all this time, and to finally see him chatting so happily now, she hoped he could at last pick himself up from his sad, lonely past. Now, she called for everyone's complete attention, and told them all to ensure their own safety during the coming battles. She then told Ning Fong, especially to avoid attracting the direct attention of any monsters, while she would be the one to handle all the monsters. Jiangshu would need to focus on his role as the tank, and Su Ting would focus on providing buffs and her protective skills, whereas Su Wei would use his powerful potions as needed. Everyone in the party understood the plan. While Ning Fong was thinking this was an excruciatingly slow way of leveling up, but he had to just go along with it for the meantime. He figured that he could just level up quickly with his forbidden spells, so he didn't have to rush or do anything right now, and instead, just observe the other's strength. Now, Wang Yu initiated the fight with her brilliant light arrow, which immediately caught the attention of the zombies, and they all dashed straight towards her very direction. As the horde of zombies came charging in, Su Ting casted a powerful buff spell on Jiang Shu, and he unleashed a powerful, ground-shattering strike that took down a whole bunch of zombies at once. Su Wei followed up by throwing some explosive potions at the zombies, and he could feel the rapid increase in all his experience points. He was now enticed to quickly level up to be able to craft even newer potions. Soon, Jiangshu and Su Ting, on the other hand, were extremely happy that they would be able to reach their second transformation this quickly and get into a top-tier university, just like the amazing Wang Yu. Just then, the sound of busting laughter came from somewhere nearby. Hearing this, Jiangshu demanded to know who was there. It was then that Ethan, the guy in the flashy armor from the other party, came and claimed he just couldn't hold his laughter upon hearing such simple-minded things. He seemed to have followed Wang Yu's party all the way here, and now he was making fun of them, thinking the second transformation would be so easy for such weaklings like them. Su Ting recognized these guys were from the National Rising Stars list, and Ethan boasted that it was quite common for him to be recognized so easily, thanks to his fame. Jiangshu wondered why those arrogant guys were even here, since they were not from Chandler City. Wang Yu boldly stepped forward and asked them directly if they needed anything from them. Ethan replied that they had come here specially to find Wang Yu, and asked her if she was interested in joining their exclusive team. It was not a small offer, but Wang Yu just turned it down flat because she liked her own team much more. Ethan then mentioned that even though Wang Yu's team has a mage, who was ranked 14th on the National Rising Stars list, she could come along with that guy as well. Wang Yu made it crystal clear that she didn't want to join any other guild, after which he asked what was so great in a small place like Chandler City for her. He explained that with the recent increase of dungeon invasions, the monsters were becoming much more difficult to deal with every single day. So, the top 3 universities have now raised their assessment standards, and this year, they'll be only recruiting the most elite teams, or individuals with very favorable conditions in their premises. So, Ethan wanted her to know what a rare opportunity this truly was, since joining his team would mean a confirmed spot in a top-tier university. He told her not to forget that she was destined to become incredibly strong, whereas the rest of her team didn't seem to have a good future at all. He then claimed that weakness was the greatest sin of all, so he despised weaklings just like those ones. Wang Yu was about to reach for her deadly bow, but Ethan warned her to think twice before trying to fight him, since his skills would surely damage a wide area, and get all the weak ones involved as well. Su Ting told her they should just ignore them and level up somewhere else. Wang Yu figured that would be the right thing to do, so she simply walked off from there. While Ning Feng thought to himself, this guy is really overestimating himself, as Wang Yu was currently strong enough after her hidden class to beat him with ease. It was then the big guy from Ethan's team stepped right in front of Ning Feng and demanded to know if he was Zhao Cheng. Ning Feng denied it, in which case the big guy told him to get lost. Ning Feng was immediately offended by his arrogant attitude, but then Jiangshu stepped in and told the big guy that he was going too far. The big guy, Rick Lee, tried to intimidate Jiangshu with his immense power, and out of nowhere, he launched a vicious attack on him. Jiangshu crossed his forearms in a desperate attempt to block the punch, but despite that, the punch was far too strong for him to block completely. Wang Yu was deeply worried as a fight had just broken out, and before she could even intervene, Ethan completely blocked her path. She told him to get lost, which immediately pissed off Ethan, as it had hurt his immense pride. It was then that Jiangshu told Wang Yu from a distance that he was fine, and she didn't have to come. But in reality, it seemed he had broken a few of his ribs, and could tell this Rick guy had gone too far completely on purpose. Jiangshu then asked Ning Feng to step back so he wouldn't get hurt. Now Rick mocked Jiangshu with a condescending thumbs down, and Jiangshu tried to punch him back in his anger, but Rick was still much faster and managed to land another heavy blow. Wang Yu and Su Ting were trying their best to help him, but they couldn't possibly make it in time. However, someone did manage to make it in time and stop the big guy, Rick Lee, with a powerful counterpunch. It was none other than our boy, who had decided to finally make his move and made a truly grand entrance. Wang Yu, Su Wei, and Su Ting, and even the opponent's entire party, were completely shocked at this sight, as a seemingly weak guy had just blocked the punch from a powerhouse like Rick. Rick, on the other hand, couldn't believe it was happening for Real, and he couldn't move at all against this tiny guy dressed as a simple mage, but possessing a much superior strength to his own. Ningfang just held on to Rick's hand, and then threw him away like a discarded toy, and the big guy couldn't help but scream in pain as he was tossed around. Just like that, Ningfang threw the guy back from where he had come from, and he wasn't stopped until he had hit a massive rock pillar. This time, our boy called him a useless fellow, and instead of Wang Yu, it was Ethan this time who ran to assist his fallen party member. However, Wang Yu shot an arrow straight up into his butt, leaving him unable to even sit for some time to come. Su Ting chuckled at the hilarious sight, although Aurelia Autumn from the opponent's party felt a bit of pity for the poor guy. She couldn't comprehend how a mere mage could defeat a powerful berserker with his bare hands, and how an archer had shot a tank in close combat. Ningfeng didn't really want to expose his hand and to keep a low profile, but now he figured he would have to. So he just became serious and, firstly, asked Su Ting to heal Jiangshu. She went and cast a healing spell on him, and Ningfeng then asked Jiangshu how he thinks he should deal with that Rick guy from earlier. Jiangshu replied that he didn't know for sure, so he would just follow whatever Ningfeng had ordered. Ningfeng noticed everyone's attitude had suddenly become very respectful towards him, in which case, he casually asked Jiangshu to go and take the equipment of their opponents. As a form of compensation, Ethan called it a robbery and tried to oppose it, but suddenly, a punch completely shattered the ground right an inch in front of him. It was done by our boy to intimidate him, and it worked like a charm, as the firstly violent guy now requested him to take all his equipment. Ningfeng told him to consider himself lucky, because he prefers to avoid any trouble, usually. But if he finds out that Ethan retaliates later on, it will not end well for him. Ethan understood the threat, and claimed it was his own fault for acting all high and mighty from earlier. Unexpectedly, Aurelia Autumn was very cooperative and handed over her own equipment in advance. Ningfeng called her a sensible person, and told the others they should keep on advancing to level up, leaving Aurelia all flustered with no response at all. Ningfeng and his party went on ahead, and they stopped by a place when Wang Yu mentioned not expecting Ningfeng to be so powerful. Ningfeng replied he didn't want to show off, since he had just awakened only recently. Wang Yu got mad about him not telling her about this until now, but she didn't feel like asking it either, since she knew he would just shrug it all off. Ningfeng smiled, as she understood him the absolute best, and that aside, Wang Yu placed a hand on his shoulder and told him she was so happy for him. No matter what, Ningfeng could feel she was genuinely happy for him, so he just accepted her praise with a confident thumbs up. Whereas Jiangshu and Su Ting admired him even more, and wished to know which university he was planning on joining. Ningfeng replied he hadn't thought about it just yet, and they assured him he didn't have to be hasty in decisions like this. Su Wei tried to join the conversation, but the other two's enthusiasm was so much that he couldn't even join in. Meanwhile, Ningfeng thought that, since a university and a guild were both places with very strict regulations, it would be easy to accidentally reveal his secrets there, so he would rather just not join either of them for right now. He ordered the party to move ahead, deeper into the dungeon, and to speed up their leveling process. Ningfeng liked to be the one leading the way for them this time, and although he couldn't use his forbidden skills, he could still beat the monsters with just his crazy high attributes. The next day, Ningfeng returned to Darius's huge home, and he was extremely tired after working so very much, only to level up by a single level, and that, too, with the potion in use. Ningfeng had gotten so used to leveling up with his forbidden spells, and killing high-level monsters, that he had forgotten this was the normal pacing for everyone else. He recalled that usually, a supernova could reach level 60 and complete a second transformation within 2 long years, just like Wang Yu, while the others who were ordinary would just have to settle for the regular universities. Ningfeng's brain was getting tired from far too much thinking, and now he planned on just relaxing and lazing around for a few days. All day he enjoyed playing games with Darius, sleeping after reading manga, and sometimes having a big barbecue. One day he got a call from Yang Xian. She informed him there was a big auction coming up, and it was expected to have some truly great items. Also, the new manager, Tang, wanted to know if Ning would be attending it. Ningfeng figured he didn't have much else going on, so he might as well go and take a good look. He wondered if the services of these trade posts were always this good, or if it was just this new manager who knew how to deal with people much better. After that, he went to the trading post, and he was provided a seat in a very calm area. The new manager, Tang Yukai, and Yang Xian came to greet Ning Feng, and he was honored to meet Ning. Tang recalled the mayor had asked him to especially serve this boy very well, even if the entire exchange needed to revolve around him. Tang then asked Yang Xian to show the catalog to Ning, and Ning Feng looked through the various items, but he only saw some equipment and potions which wouldn't be of any use to him. He just scrolled for a little while, which surprised Manager Tang, as he could tell Ning Feng didn't like anything he had seen on top. Suddenly, Ning Feng's expression turned ice-cold as he asked what was on the list. Tang checked and then remarked, "He's got a good eye, as this item is an experience boost potion, which can increase the rate by a full 100%. Ning Feng recalls that he had only shared this potion's secret with Su Wei, and Darius also knew that his boss was the one who had developed. Manager Tang was caught completely off guard by that. Then, Ning Feng asked him where he had gotten this from. Manager Tang replied that this item was apparently auctioned by the Emerald Serpent Guild's own trading post. Ning Feng then recalled, this Emerald Serpent Guild was one of the nation's top 7 guilds, possessing immense power. He wondered if Su Wei had secretly sold the formula to them, or if they had done something to get it. Ning Feng asked Tang if he knew where they had gotten this potion from. Tang replied that the Emerald Serpent Guild had discovered a new type of dungeon, called the Trial of the Gods, which could only be cleared completely solo. It has many levels to clear, and there are huge rewards at every 10 levels of the trials. Among those very rewards, the recipe for the potion was one also received from completing these trials. It was Darius's first time ever hearing of such a strange dungeon, while Ning Feng figured it was fine as long as Su Wei was fine. However, this Trial of God sounded very intriguing to him, and a new mandatory quest by the system was announced just for him, telling him to harness the very power of this Trial of Gods for himself. Otherwise, if he were to fail, it would surely lead to his own death. Ning Feng smirked, as this was the very first time the system had issued him a quest, which meant this Trial of Gods must really be something truly special. Ning Feng told Tang he would not be attending this particular auction, but he did appreciate the great efforts that had been made by him. Tang didn't expect Ning Feng not to be interested, even in the super rare item like this 100% boost potion. Now Darius told his boss to take a seat, and helped to get the information on this very dungeon. But Ning Feng decided to go there as well. For some time, they stopped by to check for information online, and the information seemed to be completely confidential and not at all accessible. Darius then used the special card that had been given to him by Mayor Zhang, which worked just like a charm, and they saw this mysterious dungeon looked just like a huge tower, and the Emerald Serpent Guild had registered an exclusive right to it, meaning that without their permission, no outsider was ever allowed to enter. Ning Feng didn't think he'd be able to just go in like that, but he couldn't avoid it, since the failure of this very mission would lead to his death later on. He decided to pay a visit to this dungeon to check it out for himself, and here he saw guards were stationed to manage who could enter. Ning Feng kept on walking towards the main gate, and used his special skills to completely hide his presence. After that, he just took some spatial steps to directly enter the gate with the guards, not even noticing him one single bit. But after he had entered the dark dungeon, sometime later, a huge explosion had occurred, and even Ning Feng was now in trouble after the scene that had happened inside. Meanwhile, the guards were thrown off by the very impact of the explosion that came from inside the dungeon, and they decided to report immediately to their guild. Later that very night, Ning Feng finally made his way out of the teleportation spell, and he landed hard in his bed, all injured and completely defeated. He didn't understand what had just happened to him, because as soon as he had entered that dungeon, a huge surge of powerful energy had burst forth, and completely shattered his foul defense shield. Ning Feng was trying to understand what that was, and whatever it was, it had also caused severe damage to his system, which kept on increasing as the system was still calculating all the damages. Meanwhile, at the dungeon, the support had arrived, and a healer was healing the injured guards. He informed the guild master that the guards were only stunned, and were completely unharmed. When the guard regained his consciousness, he told the guild master, Noah from the Emerald Serpent Guild, that he had just passed out from the massive explosion, Noah wondered if the secret realm had undergone some kind of a change, in which case the person from behind the guild master believed he would have to take a look himself. With that very skill, Noah gave her the signal, and she activated her rare skill, Time Reversal. Noah uses this very skill when they need to record images or key moments from the past. The blonde mage then activated the window to see into the past, and Noah was completely astonished when he saw a mysterious black figure that was filled with an enormous dark power. Around it, this dark presence soon confronted a very bright, shining deity who had dared the Dark One for entering into his sacred territory. The radiant deity then charged up an insanely powerful light spell, which completely overwhelmed the evil deity. Noah and his loyal subordinates were completely perplexed upon the very discovery of this evil deity, and they saw what was ahead, that the gods seemed to have missed killing that evil spirit. He wanted to stop the evil deity so it wouldn't destroy the entire world. Noah and the others obviously didn't take this matter lightly, as it meant destroying the entire world. After that, Noah took the images of this evil deity to the High Council of all the guilds. And although the true identity of this existence was completely unknown, the spells that had been released by that evil deity were powerful enough to be considered forbidden. The old man in the gold armor was the guildmaster of the Mighty Universe Guild, Luke Johnson, the guildmaster of the Honor Guild, Faye Ark, and the guildmaster of the Emerald Serpent Guild. Noah recalled that the one who had passed this trial of gods would receive the deities' full recognition and all their blessings. But they had never expected to see a literal evil deity actually appear. Then, the guildmaster of the Dawnbringers, Evelyn, stated the key issue here was that even the forbidden spells couldn't destroy this evil deity, which was not at all good news for them. The guildmaster of the Celestial Guild, Lunacyrene, stated that if this evil deity really plans to destroy the world, they might not have any way to stop it. Lord Brooke from the Vanguard Guild then hinted they might be able to achieve a way to deal with it if they had passed the trial of gods themselves. Logan from the Inferno Guild liked that idea and thought it was worth a try. Noah thought these guys must have been eyeing this moment for him to open up this powerful dungeon for them. Noah didn't oppose anyone wanting to participate in this harrowing trial, but he had to remind them that the monsters in there wouldn't be easy to deal with, even for the guild masters. So, in simple words, he stated that none of them were truly qualified for this trial of gods just yet. Luke then asked the last person on the other end of the table, Ragnar Blaze, about what he had thought. The old man simply mocked. What else could I think, other than how completely incompetent everyone here is? Luke could tell that Ragnar Blaze, or Old Fong, was mad for even being called here, and told him they had to because of this major, critical incident. Ragnar Blaze stated it was obvious why he was so mad, because everyone in the Lone Shadow had been avoiding all of these disasters that were happening in a small city like Shander, and if this mysterious big shot hadn't helped out, they would be guilty of harming the innocent and just cleaning up the bodies. Right now, this man then fired up a Ghost Rider-like skull. Ragnar Blaze was the former powerful leader of the Lone Shadow organization, and Luke told him to calm down, as his head was getting hot on fire. Once again, the story behind this old man's burning Ghost Rider head is that he was said to have paid a very significant price to use a lot of the power of darkness to save a whole city from monsters, after which he had retired due to his inactivity from his severe injuries. Luke then asked Ragnar Blaze if he could show this footage to the mysterious big shot. Somehow, Ragnar Blaze angered them to only now take some real action, and since it was absolutely necessary, he gave in to do this one task for them and turned his head back to normal. Meanwhile, back at Darius's home, Ning Fong was just looking out the window, telling him that he'll have to reach a second transformation just to repair the damaged system. He wondered if he had done something wrong by entering that dungeon, the Trial of Gods, and proceeded to walk to the living room. There, he saw an old man sitting along with Darius and Kwang Lon. The old man figured this young boy must be the famous Ning Fong, but Ning Fong couldn't recall who this old grandpa was. Darius introduced him as the former leader of the Lone Shadow organization, and also the current director of the Adventurers Association, Mr. Fong, also known by the title Ragnar Blaze. And as for the lady, she was Kwang Lon, Old Fong's own disciple and the current head of this region's Lone Shadow post. Their purpose for coming here was to seek help from the mysterious big shot. Ning Fong had heard of the infamous Crimson Death God, but Old Fong claimed it was just an empty title, not worth even mentioning. However, Ning Fong knew how much weight that very title carried, since Old Fong had had numerous achievements, participating in many big dungeon explorations. He was so very famous that one would feel lucky to just meet him for one single time. Now, Old Fong presented a gift he had brought for their very first meeting, which contained a massive 5 million crystal coins and 200 bottles of high-tier experience potions, all for Ning Fong. Ning Fong felt it was quite generous for that much of an amount, but he needed to know exactly what had brought him here. Kuang Lan then played out a video device and said, they had come here to show the big shot. It was the very video recorded from that time, when Ning Fong had encountered a deity in the secret realm, and he was quite utterly shocked. After seeing himself being framed as the evil deity, he didn't understand how he could have become an evil god, and now that he recalled, the system had said his new mission was no big deal. He felt like the system itself was trying to trap him. But now was not the time to show it on his face, because he needed to make use of this very situation, since they didn't know he was the evil god. Ning Fong claimed to understand their purpose, and promised he would inform the big shot about the video, and make sure to update them at a later time. Old Fong thanked him for all his efforts, and now, they figured it was time to head back and wait for the good news. Ning Fong received the contact card from Kuang Lan, and he recalled. She was the very same lady who had been in charge of his first job change before. Ning Fong now understands how he was exposed so quickly to Teacher Kai. Later, Old Fong remarked that Ning Fong was indeed as polite, modest, and a good person as Kuang Lan had said, and if it were possible, he would prefer to recruit him with every single effort. Kuang Lan then asked her master if he thought Ning Fong and the big shot were the very same person. But Old Fong asked if that really even mattered, since it seemed Ning Fong wished to be seen as only a simple student, so they should perceive him as just one, which would be good for absolutely everyone. He hoped that this mysterious big shot could become their strongest support against the ever-increasing enemies. Meanwhile, Ning Fong was still receiving the system alerts that it had prevented some kind of damage, which he thinks might be that deity trying to track his very whereabouts. Ning Fong then recalled that the deity was strong enough to completely shatter his absolute defense with just one move, so it was obvious that it was strong enough to be a forbidden level spell, making him a very dangerous foe. Now, Ning Fong has made it his top priority to complete the 2 tasks that were assigned by his system, to harness the power of the trial of gods for himself, and to reach the next transformation. Ning Fong figured it was also necessary to get that very power, since if anyone else were to get it, they might pose a grave threat to him in the future. He asked Darius if Old Fong had given him any other information, and Darius organized all of the information for him right away. It contained the internal structure of this Trial of Gods dungeon, which resembled a huge tower with many, many levels. The number of total floors was still completely unknown, because it had not been conquered just yet. And it was said the monsters inside were extremely formidable, far surpassing those in any other known dungeons currently. It had been explored until the 42nd floor, and this record was set by the leader of the Emerald Serpent Guild, Noah. Ning Fong knew if he were to risk entering it again, his true identity might be exposed this time. So he wondered, what if he just delegates this entire mission to someone under him, as it would technically mean the power would be harnessed by him. Ning Fong then asked Darius if he had seen the video of Noah clearing all the floors, to which he agreed, and Ning Fong then asked him what did he think about how many levels he himself could reach. Darius replied he could probably clear around 35 of the floors, and Ning Fong contemplated that Noah was near his 5th transformation, so he was definitely stronger than Darius. Ning Fong wanted Darius to go and clear that trial, since he was one of his own people, so he thought, what if he just prepared Darius for a very special training session? Back at Old Fong's house, he was completely flabbergasted when he heard that the mysterious big shot wanted to send someone for the trial of gods. Kuang Lan then added that Darius had additionally requested to borrow their training room to undergo a very special training. Old Fong recalled that Darius hadn't reached his 5th transformation just yet, so it was going to be very interesting to see what change this special training under the boss would have on him. He then mentioned that just yesterday, the guild leaders had gone to challenge the trial of gods, but even the mighty Luke didn't succeed. Kuang Lan was truly surprised, since Luke was one of the nation's absolute strongest people, so if even he didn't succeed, there was hardly anyone who actually could. Now Old Fong was so excited to see Darius's results that his head had fired up once again, showing his interest was overflowing on seeing just how far a person who was trained by the mysterious boss could actually go. Old Fong tried to control the flames once again, while Kuang Lan recalled, "This flame on the old man was the very price he now bears, and it was constantly burning away at his very life." She was worried if there was really no way to alleviate. Later, Darius and Ningfeng were called by Old Fong to the training room, and other workers from the Lone Shadow were eager to see these 4th and 5th powerhouses here. The guy with the red hair was the very man who was the examiner on Ningfeng's awakening day, and he was glad that he hadn't offended him that day in his anger, otherwise he would be in deep trouble right now. Now Kuang Lan stated, this special training room was only accessible to those with 4th transformations and above. Darius then provided the data drive for the details of the settings that he'll need in the training room to Kuang Lan, while Ningfeng and Ragnar Blaze chatted for a bit. Kuang Lan was truly amazed when she saw the information about the monsters was very much precise on the disc, along with all of their weaknesses. Ningfeng could easily know that kind of information, since he had the memories of the future invasion, and just needed to bring the information out from his mind. Old Fong was very interested, so he asked Darius if he could observe him for a little bit. Darius gladly accepted, and felt truly grateful to be under Old Fong's personal guidance. Old Fong remarked he was here to learn, not to instruct. He was also very eager to find out something, and to know if that mysterious boss had ever said, if that evil deity would actually destroy the entire world. Kuang Lan was caught completely off guard by the question Old Fong had asked, and they waited eagerly for Darius's response. Although Darius had already talked about this before with Ningfeng, he was feeling a little bit tongue-tied, since it was himself, this very evil deity, in question. He had decided to tell Darius more than just a simple no, but without explaining too much about it as well. The answer that Darius had gotten from him. That time, Darius repeated the very same, and replied to Old Fong that his boss had just said 8 words. In his response, Old Fong asked what those words were, and the mysterious boss had said, "As long as I'm here, it will not happen." Darius said it word for word, and Old Fong liked the boss's style of answering things. Kuang Lan wondered just what kind of a powerhouse this boss really was, to not consider even a powerful deity as a real threat. But little did they even know, Ningfeng was just being completely casual with everything, and was doing whatever he liked. Now, the training room was finally prepared, and Old Fong wished the best of luck to Darius for the trial of gods. After a while in the training room, they saw Darius starting to kick around the bucket, as the monsters in the training had become significantly stronger. Concentrating with all his might on the monsters' incoming trajectory, he managed to annihilate them with a powerful outburst of raw magical energy, an act that left him visibly and utterly exhausted. Ningfeng offered him a moment to rest for a bit, but Darius, with unyielding determination, was hell-bent on pushing further. After catching only a few fleeting breaths there, he refused to let his new boss down, determined to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to its absolute fullest. Kuang Lan was completely astonished by Darius's incredible performance, because even she would be unable to clear so many levels like that. Old Fong recalled hearing that Ningfeng had only awakened at 18, yet he had completed his first awakening in just a handful of days. He wondered if he was capable of such a miracle. Then perhaps another miracle could happen to Darius as well, since he was also under his powerful guidance. Meanwhile, a thought crossed Ningfeng's mind. Even if he had simplified the monster's critical weaknesses, he had completely overlooked that people have their limits, and Darius was rapidly approaching his breaking point right now. He realized that if Darius couldn't pass this trial, then he would have no choice but to complete it himself. Therefore, he needed to overcome his own lack of combat experience, as all he truly knew right now were devastating forbidden spells, which could land him in serious trouble. Instead, Ningfeng announced he would be heading back for now, since he had to prepare something important for school. Ragnar Blaze nodded and told him to let them know if he needed any help. Ningfeng headed out to level up himself before school was set to start, and he might as well get some powerful skills or equipment. For Darius, he stopped in a completely isolated street, where Ningfeng took out a flying scroll to reach his next destination, without ever being seen. He had managed to buy a whole batch of flight scrolls from the trade post, which he figured would be more than enough for now. Ning Feng flew straight off to another remote dungeon to level up, and as he stood before the menacing entrance, he recalled this was one of the 2 unregistered secret realms that Darius had mentioned to him before. However, he didn't understand why there were clear signs of battle around the gate. Ning Feng just decided to go straight inside and take a look for himself. Meanwhile, deep inside this very dungeon, some demons were mercilessly trampling over the adventurers who had entered. One of them asked their boss, "Did you just see a light that looked like a flying scroll?" The boss coldly replied, "It must be another complete fool who has come here to exterminate us." The other demon's subordinates laughed it off, as they believed whoever it might be, they were just foolishly marching to their own deaths. Their powerful boss stated it was fine, as the more of them they hunt down, the more they could offer up to their great demon lord later on. It was all thanks to these foolish adventurers that these demons had managed to amass enough incredible power that they will finally succeed in the descending of their mighty demon lord. All the demons hailed and cheered for the upcoming of their great demon lord, whereas, through a hidden tracker on one of the dead adventurers, their subordinate, hiding somewhere around the area, was listening to everything. She informed her other subordinates that things were not looking good, as it seemed there's going to be another dungeon invasion from yet another demon lord, and that was going to happen right today on this very mountain. The party leader grew extremely worried, as it meant that their city, which was the closest one from here, would be the very first one to fall under the hands of the demons. The captain thought with a straight and clear mind, and made the rational decision to immediately retreat from here, because they couldn't possibly stop this invasion with their party alone. The adept knew these monsters were far too powerful, and even the city's powerful barrier might not be able to hold them back. He told his party members to quickly head back, and to quickly report to the authorities, to immediately evacuate all the people and to save as many as they could. The party members noticed their leader didn't seem to be going back, and when they asked him why, the leader replied that someone would have to stay behind to keep an eye on the enemy's actions until the exact time of the dreaded invasion. So, he had decided to stay here all by himself and report back to the others for the crucial transmission. His loyal subordinates didn't want to leave him here all alone, but the leader had already made up his mind and ordered the others to leave him there immediately. They ran back right away to report back as soon as they possibly could, while their captain looked up at the gloomy sky, thinking he might not be going back home this time. He called his kid and told her with a sad smile that he will be busy with some kind of an emergency, so she will just have to listen to what her mommy says. His daughter then asked him where he was, to which he just simply replied, "Daddy's at work, and he'll be a bit busy and will have to go." Now, he hung up the phone so as not to fall weak to his emotions. But when his daughter called him back again, he picked up and she asked him why her dad had hung up. Before she had even finished talking, he asked her what else she wanted to say, and she wished him a very, very happy birthday. It's something that could make any grown man begin to cry. And the man returned to fulfill his sworn duty, whereas his subordinates were going as fast as they possibly could, so they could come back for him that much faster as well. They were also worried for their captain, while their captain was now in tears, because he wanted to see his beloved family just one last time. Meanwhile, deep inside the dungeon, the demon lord's loyal followers had just finished their offerings to the Lord and hoped the Lord would bestow them with even more of his dark power. Meanwhile, Ning Feng was deep inside the secret realm, leveling up by effortlessly defeating monsters. He had ended up finding an ice spell, the Frost Arrow, which had converted into a forbidden spell that allowed him to summon an endless, devastating ice disaster with a mercilessly cold power. Ning Feng was enjoying it in here, since the experience points gained from the monsters here was much higher, and he had leveled up to 37 in almost no time at all. Ning Feng didn't notice the still alive demon in the ice right beside him just yet, and got busy checking out another skill book he had gotten later. When he was going outside of the secret realm, the demon lord's followers had just arrived, and they thought the demon lord was coming from the very entrance, so they all bowed down to the main gate. However, they were all left puzzled when Ning Feng came out of the dungeon instead. Ning Feng also didn't expect to see more monsters just outside the realm, and he was startled by the sudden and unexpected confrontation. The demons then questioned him about their demon lord, but little did they even know The demon trapped in Ningfang's powerful ice attack was the demon lord itself, completely frozen in place and barely even alive. The demons assessed that this guy seemed to be just an outsider, in which case, he commanded to know how he had come here all alone. The demon thought, "You must be the one who came here before, using the flight scroll, and perhaps you could be one of those seeking to pledge your allegiance to the demon lord for his incredible dark energy." He straight up asked Ningfang if he had come to join the great demon lord. Ningfang straight up denied it right to their faces and then said, "My business is none of your business." The demon then asked our boy if he even knew who he was. The demon then introduced himself as Gurong, an A-ranked demon who had killed over 200 adventurers up until now. Ningfang was getting annoyed by all of the yapping and told the demon to just fight if he really wanted to, but to not waste any of his precious time. Gurong grew extremely pissed and threatened to kill Ningfang. Now, the other demons also wished to kill him, but while they were all preparing, the sky above their very heads turned darker and darker, as Ningfang unleashed his immense dark power to overwhelm his enemy with pure, unadulterated fear. The demons didn't understand what the hell that was, but little did they even know. It was one of Ningfang's newly learned forbidden spells, Dominating Vision, which traps his enemies in an illusion and reveals all of their hidden weaknesses. Ningfang could see all the weak points of the powerful demon, and the major one of them was the injury on his shoulder. Ningfang could see the true potential of this amazing skill, and he directly threw a powerful jab to the demon's vulnerable shoulder. In this very illusion, Ningfang could repeatedly target the trapped enemy's every weakness and torment them like a helpless prey caught under his dominating vision. Meanwhile, further down on the mountains, the captain who had remained behind to keep an eye on the invasion was finding it extremely strange, as there were no signs of invasion anymore. He planned to go closer and to look it up, as he didn't care about dying here anymore, because he was going to die here anyway, as long as he was on this very mountain today. After he had went there, the man let out a confused, loud scream as he tried to make sense of the slaughter around here. The captain's subordinates were completely shocked to hear that those demons, who had killed so many adventurers like they were flies before, were now all killed. They asked the captain what had happened to the secret realm, to which he replied that the entry was now blocked by a massive ice storm, and there didn't seem to be any demons left around the entire place. It was very hard to believe. His subordinates then asked what had happened to the dungeon's final boss. The captain replied that he had mistakenly shattered the boss, as he had found it completely frozen inside an ice crystal, which had broken from just a simple touch. And the fact that the boss didn't drop any valuable items meant he must have been thoroughly and completely killed. The captain's subordinates then asked if that dungeon invasion was still going to happen, and the captain struggled to come up with a good answer for that. Meanwhile, Ningfang had returned back home and asked Darius if he was still in the training room. Ningfang told him to come back and get some rest for a bit, but Darius was disappointed because he was stuck on the 45th level, and he felt he was unworthy to be Ningfang's loyal disciple. Ningfang assured him it was alright to take a few days off, and he had mainly sent him to the training to get an idea of that realm. Next week, Ningfang told him that he'll be arranging a very special devil's training for him. Darius was teared up to know that Ningfang hadn't given up on him, in which case he decided to treat him to anything for dinner tonight. Ningfang saw Darius running away, in pure excitement for this upcoming devil's training. After that, he decided to play some fun games during this short break, and at the very same time, he received a strange message from Ragnar Blaze. Ragnar Blaze had called him to play the game together to rank up, and Ningfang was wondering if it was really Ragnar Blaze's own account. Ragnar Blaze then sent a voice message to confirm that it was really him, and Ningfang didn't expect him to be such a friendly and cool guy. They played a game together and managed to snatch the victory, all thanks to the old man's great skills in the very game. Ningfang didn't expect him to be so very good at it, and Old Fang replied that he just used to play with his grandson a lot, who is currently preparing for his own college entrance exams. He then mentioned he was the very same age as Ningfang, and Ningfang suggested they should have a trio match together sometime. Ragnar Blaze was totally up for it, which made Ningfang think very highly of him, as he had turned out to be more than just a righteous old man, with a very high position officially. He figured if he built a good relationship with him, it would surely make things much easier for him in the near future. Ragnar then informed him of the Supernova training camp, where all the universities would select their outstanding students based on their overall performance during the camp. They would then be admitted without taking an exam, and would be provided with excellent resources for their development. Ragnar mentioned he had 2 spots left to refer, and asked if Ningfang would want to go. Ningfang recalled thinking back that he didn't really plan on going to college. But now, if he needed to fight the so-called gods and demon lords, he would need more people by his own side. Thus, he accepted Ragnar Blaze's generous offer, and the old man told him that he'll save 1 more spot for Ningfang, so he could also bring any teammate he wanted as well. Ningfang thanked him for all his help, whereas Ragnar was glad to do so, as he had found Ningfang to be similar to his own grandson, and thought they might become very good friends. The scene then shifts to the next day, at the Chander City School, at Ningfeng's very own class, where the other students were talking about the universities changing all of their standards this year. Many students didn't like the sound of it, as they, despite being 2- or 3-star professions, wouldn't be able to get in, just like some of the 1-star profession losers, clearly referring to Ningfeng. When the class finally started, Teacher Kai introduced a new transfer student to their class. As the student greeted everyone, all the students were completely awestruck by the sight of such a beauty, joining their class, which was none other than the great Aurelia Autumn. Ningfang remembers her as the troublemaker from earlier, while the other students knew her as the 4th-ranked student on the National Rising Stars list. The students were all puzzled as to why someone so talented had transferred from a big city school all the way to their city. Then, Aurelia asked the teacher if she could please sit next to Ningfang, and she hesitantly agreed to her strange request. Aurelia went and then took her seat right beside Ning, which made him the prime target for his class yet again, for snatching both of the beauties, like Wang Yu and Aurelia just like that. Ningfang didn't get why she had transferred and chose to sit next to him. Meanwhile, in the principal's main office, the principal of Aurelia's previous school had come to interrogate the principal, Faye, about what kind of tricks he had used to transfer Aurelia to his school. The reason for his anger was because Aurelia had not only left, but she had also taken a training camp spot along with her, which would greatly affect his school's very own graduation rate. Principal Faye recalled that this year, there were only 4 spots available for the entire training camp, and now there were 3 of them in his very own school alone. He knew the principal, Logan, in front of him, wouldn't just sit there idle and would speak all of his opinions. At the very same time, someone knocked on the door, and Principal Faye let in the person. It was one of the teachers of the school, and he reported to Principal Faye that someone wanted to see him here personally, as they couldn't reach him on the phone. Faye wondered who it could possibly be, and recalled that his phone was on silent as well. To his complete surprise, the employee informed him that the guest was actually the senior, Ragnar Blaze, from the Adventurers Management Bureau. The principal quickly ran there to warmly welcome Old Fong, while the others were all shocked to see someone who could only be seen on TV. Here right in person, Ragnar Blaze introduced the principal to his own grandson, Feng Ru, and when Faye asked how he could possibly help him, Ragnar Blaze replied that he'd like to ask for 2 things from him. Firstly, it was to transfer his grandson to his very own school, which came out as a big surprise to both of the principals. They recalled that Feng Ru was ranked 12th on the National Rising Stars list, and his profession was a Dark-type Blood Knight. It was said that Feng Ru didn't show his full strength at the time of his testing because he was worried of losing control of his power of darkness. Otherwise, he would have easily been in the top 5. Principal Logan couldn't understand why Ragnar Blaze would choose this school for his grandson. And moreover, everyone on the Supernova list gets a guaranteed spot in the training camp. So it meant Faye's school would get another training spot for absolutely free. But that wasn't all, as Old Fong added that he'll add 2 more training spots to this school. From his own side now, Principal Logan really wanted to know just what they all saw in his school, but Principal Faye kindly smirked and asked Logan to just leave, since he was very busy at the moment. After that, Ragnar Blaze informed the principal that he was allocating these 2 spots to Ning Fong, who had just awakened only recently. He doubted if Ning Fong could even attend the training camp, to which Ragnar Blaze simply replied, it was the Bureau's own arrangement, so he need not ask any further. Principal Faye cooperated with it, since he knew the Bureau was responsible for supervising all of the adventurers, and they held a much higher authority than the Great Seven Guilds. He wondered how Ningfeng had gotten any contacts with Ragnar Blaze. Meanwhile, in Ningfeng's very own class, he now had one weird girl on his right and a weird boy right behind him. But it didn't even end there, as even the others had ended up transferring to his school. Just now, he had asked them the reason for it. Su Ting replied she had just heard of the school missing some students, so she had seen the spots and took the chance to remain around. Her boss, Ning Wang Yu, was visibly in a contest with Aurelia, while Jiang Shu was getting along very well with Feng Ru on the back. Aurelia then realized she wasn't the only one who was attracted to Ningfeng, which could be very troublesome for her later on, if she didn't work hard enough. She had also prepared a special gift for him, and was looking for a good opportunity to give it to him. At the very same time, the other students were all envious of Ningfeng, as they wished they could be the center of that amazing group, with so many rising stars in it. Ningfeng feels his surroundings were becoming much livelier than before, and as for the Zhaocheng matters, it seems the school didn't care about his sudden disappearance. Meanwhile, in the Xiao family's grand residence, Xiao Cheng's father was sitting in a deep depression, as there still had been absolutely no news of his beloved son. Just yet, he had contacted a very powerful figure to aid in this investigation, and hoped to receive some kind of news soon. He then asked about the situation at the school, to which his man had replied that the principal didn't even wait for allocating him the training spot and had given it to someone else due to the delays. Zhao's father gets it, and ordered his men to let him have some free time in his own son's room. He then went to Xiao Cheng's room, and the whole room felt so empty with all these pictures of Xiao Cheng, but not him in here. Zhao's father then pressed one of those pictures, and it opened up a secret pathway, which led him to a dark and mysterious place, with some strange rocks that symbolized some kind of demonic ritual. The scene then shifts back to the class, where Feng Ru gives a purple-level item to Ningfeng. It was a skill book of water-summoning magic, which Feng Ru had found on one of his very own recent conquests. Ningfeng remembered that finding summoning skills was extremely rare, so they were quite incredibly valuable. Aurelia also took out what she had brought for him as a gift, which was also a skill book of a battle mage skill. It was also a very rare profession, and even though he couldn't learn them just yet, he would be able to later. Ningfeng actually tried to go on leveling up in the dungeon, but for some strange reason he couldn't enter it, as that secret realm required at least 5 people to even open. He had wasted his time by going there with a lack of information, but now he was fully prepared with more people around him to challenge it once again. He then smiled and told both Feng Ru and Aurelia that he might not have much to offer them in his return, but he would still like to give them 40 bottles of the high experience potion each. Aurelia had heard these items were only available to high-ranking people, and to think he had gifted them so casually like this. Both of them were even more sure that Ningfeng was definitely worth holding on to very, very tightly. Wang Yu also had a special gift for him, and Ningfeng asked her what it was. She replied it was a newly concocted potion by Su Wei, and he had asked her to pass it on to Ning. She then gave him this orange-level potion, and Ningfeng seems to have a use for it already in his mind. Later, he went back to his home, and Darius had prepared himself for the special devil's training. Ningfeng then handed over the potion from before to Darius, and he told him it was a nourishing elixir, which could heal long-standing and deep internal injuries. He told Darius to drink it so they could begin the special training. Darius formed his punches in pure excitement, and he quickly gulped down the entire nourishment potion in one single go. Ningfeng then asked him how he felt now, to which Darius had replied that he was feeling warm currents flowing all through his entire body, dealing with all the fatigue from the time before. Ningfeng knew this potion was truly remarkable, since he himself had used it after sustaining those hidden injuries from the time he had gotten so injured. Next up, he stated it was time for the training. Now Darius stood firm, listening to his every command, followed by an instruction to let Ning know if he felt too overwhelmed. During the intense training, when they had arrived in the training room, Darius began to feel an excluding pressure all around him, which had happened because of Ningfeng. awakening his dominating vision skill on him. He then analyzed Darius's every weakness, which had informed him that Darius's injuries were currently still in healing progress around his lungs, reducing his strength and his endurance. Ningfeng then let Darius know that he'll be pointing out his weaknesses now, after which Ningfeng started with telling him that the overloading element energy skill was not at all suitable for him, as it was severely damaging his lungs. And secondly, his habitual combination of skills was extremely flawed. Darius was completely amazed by the pinpoint insight of Ningfeng, and after this, they began the harrowing training session. Right away, Darius was now fighting against Ningfeng, but even though he was a fourth transformation adventurer, he still couldn't see the incoming attacks from Ningfeng and ended up receiving quite a few hits. Ningfeng asked him if he was okay, and Darius simply replied that he could endure much more than just this. Ningfeng was very glad that he was able to test out his dominating vision skill on those very foolish demons, as it had given him an idea of how to keep its effects to a minimum so as not to harm Darius's own consciousness. He was seeing the results live in front of his very eyes, while Darius was feeling truly honored, as he believed that his boss was the only one in this entire world who could truly make him so much stronger. He didn't want to disappoint Ningfeng, so Darius focused much more on his attacks and resumed the training. After some more time, Darius went to challenge the training room that was based on the Trial of Gods, where he had fought against the powerful demons. This time, Darius was performing way better than he had before, and he was able to accurately attack the very demons. With his newly increased agility and a very precise control of his hitting strength, he managed to kill all the demons this time around much easier than before, and had finally crossed the level he was stuck on from previously. He then asked for the next level to begin, but Kuang Lan and Ragnar Blaze were both astonished by his incredible growth, as he had just cleared all the levels they had in here based on the data. After he had heard this, Darius took a deep breath and then laid down to give himself some much-needed rest. His eyes got very teary with pure happiness, because he had finally cleared all the training. After so much blood and sweat from all the fighting, Ragnar Blaze found his progress to be far more remarkable, since he had improved so much in just half a single month. Just like a real miracle, Ragnar got all fired up, since he was right about keeping good relations with the mysterious and powerful Big Shot. Kuang Lan was about to point out his burning fires, but Ragnar told her to never mind it, since it was already good enough for him to have survived up until now. From the way he had talked, Kuang Lan felt like Ragnar Blaze had just transferred the schools of his own grandson, as if he had transferred his guardianship rights along with. She then worriedly asked her master if there was any way to mitigate the heavy cost of the dark power, but he fell completely silent and said they would discuss it all later. For now, he was looking forward to Darius participating in the actual Trial of Gods. The next day, at the Emerald Serpent Guild, Ragnar Blaze and Darius had arrived together, and the leaders of the other guilds were already present to greet the great Darius. Darius recalls these guys were all fifth transformation powerhouses, whom even his own master couldn't get to greet him all together from before in the past, and now they were all greeting him right here, showing that the matter of this trial must really mean a lot to all of them. Darius could proudly say that only his boss could possibly remain so calm in front of anyone, no matter who they were. Meanwhile, Noah was thinking, why did I have to come and greet a fourth transformation adventurer like this, and just what was Ragnar Blaze really up to? Also, he thought of all the other guild leaders as completely shameless for using his secret realm to build up relations with Darius. Now, they all escorted Darius to the Trial of God's ominous entrance, and Noah asked his permission for live-streaming his entire battle in there. Darius didn't even mind it, and he also asked them to let his phone be on a video call, showcasing the entire battle. Everyone's eyes were now glued to the back of the phone, and they all wondered if they could come in front of to greet the mysterious and powerful boss. But they couldn't possibly take the risk of angering the boss like that, as the consequences would surely be uncertain. Meanwhile, at Darius's very own home, Ningfeng was just watching the TV when he got the call and saw the unfolding battle. He could hear the others' remarks, that Darius was progressing through all the levels really fast, and he was undoubtedly even faster than the other guild masters, making them all wonder if he was really a 4th transformation guy. Darius didn't even break a single sweat as he passed the 30th, the 40th floor all the way to the 50th. Everyone was completely awestruck, as Darius had just surpassed Luke's record, and now, Darius was up against the monsters with an even more ferocious, dark aura. However, Darius didn't even flinch, and he had defeated another, stronger demon, keeping the pace after the 50th floor. Darius then received an announcement that he had successfully cleared the entire trial of gods. Everyone focused on the battle without even blinking, as this was a very crucial point. Darius was now seeing a bright, warm light, blessing upon him, and he had achieved the first clear reward of this entire trial of gods. In the reward, Darius received a forbidden spell, just for himself. No one could have ever expected that the reward would actually be a legendary forbidden spell. And since the announcement had said it was the first clear reward, it meant that no one else could ever get it after this. Noah thought this reward should have rightfully been his, but since Darius was the one to have cleared it, he was now starting to learn the very forbidden spell. However, Darius had failed to learn it due to his class not being perfect enough. Just yet, the spectators wondered what that even meant, whereas Ningfeng recalled something very similar from the Demon Lord's memories about the classes not being optimal just yet. He wondered if Darius wouldn't get the reward then, but to their complete surprise, the reward got changed to a divine emblem. Darius was then provided with 3 options to choose from to advance his class to. The first was the Martial Spirit Swordmaster, a battle saint, and an immortal soldier skilled in various weapon usages. Darius decided to go with the Martial Spirit Swordmaster, which would hone all of his sword skills to their absolute peak. Once that reward had been decided, Darius had achieved the condensed Kai emblem of the orange level. Darius then consumed all the divine energy from the very emblem, and once he was completely done, the people on the outside saw a strange phenomenon happening in the sky. It was like a worldwide grand announcement stating that the trial of gods in Laurel City had been fully cleared. People began to record the strange scene in the sky, and Ningfeng also saw that his mission of making the trial of God's power, his very own, had now been completed. The Council of Guild Leaders was much more focused on the part which had said their world's level had increased by a full 1. After that, Darius finally came out, and everyone could feel that his strength was no longer around the 4th transformation level any longer. Luke believed the power system of the entire world would be completely overturned because of Darius's very existence. Luke then asked Darius if he was interested in joining his own guild, and the others all started asking him the very same question. But Darius turned them all down, as he didn't plan to join any of their guilds for right now. Later, back at home, Darius was emotional as he gave the good news to Ningfeng, and said he had done his best and had not let him down. This time, Ningfeng truly praised him, and proceeded to talk about the divine emblem Darius had gotten. He then drew the Vanguard emblem, and asked him if that divine emblem was like this one. Darius agreed that it looked similar in both its shape and pattern, but to his surprise, he didn't know how the boss knew about the emblem. Ningfeng then casually replied that he had also gotten one a long time ago, and had given it to Wang Yu. Darius was very impressed, as the boss had casually given away even divine items, which meant he was far from ever becoming like his great boss. Meanwhile, Ningfeng was now thinking, if this divine emblem was condensed from a divine power, it was entirely possible that he might have also gotten the emblem, because he also possessed a divine power himself. It was one thing, and the other thing that was bothering him was to figure out if he was really going to have to face